like it's almost summer. We got some temps and we got a little bit of humidity. It is June 19th, but it is also Juneteenth Day, and that has become now a part of our vernacular. No question about that. Juneteenth is really back in 1865 in Texas. There was a proclamation that was signed that freed all the slaves in the state of Texas. And that sort of became the day that we now in this country will use as a day to honor freedom and the end of slavery. I must say, it took a pandemic and it took the George Floyd protests for all of us to figure out a lot of this stuff. And one of those really now is the prominence of Juneteenth Day. Because frankly, I truly was unaware of that day until the last couple of weeks. And it made me start to think, Brett, that it has been really a couple of interesting days where as we try to change the culture to make it better for all races and all humans in this country, on the planet, that it's really, in some ways, athletics that is leading the way. And Greg Sankey yesterday, the commissioner of the SEC, took a pretty bold stance when he basically said to the state of Mississippi, here's an athletic conference telling a governmental agency, if you want to have any of our events, our championship events in your state, you better change your flag. The NCAA, another obviously bigger body of athletics, pretty much said the same thing to the state of Mississippi today, on a day where the Minnesota Twins removed the statue of their former owner, and the guy that moved the team from Washington to Minnesota back in 1961. They moved the statue away for statements that he made that were racist back in the 60s, and the same thing happened in Washington, D.C. The removal of their former owner, George Preston Marshall, who was forced to integrate the team in the early 60s. It is athletics that is taking the leadership roles in trying to change the culture of America. Isn't that something?
It is, Dave, and it has always taken the lead. It has. And athletics and the military has mostly always, in a locker room and in arms in the military, it has to be colorless. It has to not see that, and it has taken it. The former owner of Washington, he was quite something, and I didn't know that much about the owner of the Twins. Is that Carl Pohlad?
No,
so it's the owner before Carl Pohlad.
Yes, Calvin Griffin.
Oh, okay, yeah, Griffith Stadium. I did know that, and you're right about in 1865. It took a long time, as news of the day did, for the news to get to Texas that the Civil War was over and emancipation had started. I first knew about Juneteenth. I'm going to say in '88 or '89. I'm in Dallas on this weekend at a friend of mine's wedding. And in the Dallas Morning News, one of the great newspapers ever, was a big Sunday profile on it, and I had never heard of it, but since then I had and knew about it, and now the whole country knows and starting to recognize. And today is a day of reflection and remembrance and commemoration.
It is, and it is, to me, astounding, some of the stories that we have beyond just the cultural changes and athletics leading the way. This has been a day where I am probably about to lose my Coke bet to you and to Drew regarding baseball.
It wasn't just a Coke.
It was whiskey.
It entailed a lot.
I'll have a whiskey Coke. Hold the Coke, please.
4-inch shrimp, crab legs.
Wow.
Crab meat.
And for the Schwab, what did I get?
Cup of water. Hot water.
These things are really stacked.
Hot water.
You guys really try to stack it against
Dave, we
me.
just remember. And you can't, so we do for you. We're here for you,
That's
Dave.
just,
We told
boy,
you.
you are really trying to take advantage of me.
You mentioned, all seriousness, you mentioned the flag, the state of Mississippi flag. That flag is not flown over the campus at either Ole Miss or Mississippi State in many years now. I don't know about Southern Miss, but it has not flown over the campus at Ole Miss. I know since 2015. Take it up on the space shuttle and release it into Neptune for all I care about it. There's no heritage at all there for me. There's none. Zip. No heritage. None. I don't pine for Stonewall Jackson. I don't pine for Battle of Bull Run. It was 5 years in history. That is not my heritage. It does not represent me. And Greg Sankey made the move yesterday. Now I've gotten some today of what about all those championships? When was that SEC championship game going to be played in Jackson? Well, it wasn't. And I know people are cracking on the state of Mississippi over that, but golf championships, SEC and NCAA, have been played at several places in the state of Mississippi, including one that we love. And today, with the NCAA ruling, that would potentially impact hosting NCAA first and for sure super regionals. But it's getting ready to be a thing of the past, and I trust Governor Tate Reeves, proud Mississippi State alum. He's gonna engineer it packed up and gone forever. And there's a new rebranded flag out there that I think everybody could rally around.
I hope so. I think that would be. I think it's a necessary move, but I think it will be a hard move for the powers that be to do it, because there will certainly be a segment of population that will be very much against that. But we'll wait and see exactly what Tate Reeves will end up doing. I mentioned baseball and probably me surrendering a bet to you. It's just very clear.
Do you want to formally concede now and we just bring the bet down to, say, a nice club sandwich? Drew, are you game for that? If Dave would like to concede now? Or do we want to wait till 3 o'clock Monday and really put it on him with, a medieval feast?
I say we put it on him because I know for a fact it's not going to happen.
It's a pretty heartless move, Drew. I don't know if I want to do Dave like that.
I mean, when you're betting the house, you got to keep the house on the bet.
I think even though this started as a Coke, I don't understand how it's grown.
No, Dave, it's grown and grown. And,
but I still think by Monday, 3 o'clock, we will get
And
something.
it was for friends of, 10 each for us?
I believe so.
Yeah.
10 each?
10 each. Like a wedding party.
Well,
take all that money you save from not having you wedding.
I've already had one wedding canceled this year. This dinner will be easily cancelable.
We're going to make up for it next year, bigger and better.
Yeah. So it's pretty obvious to me. The owners are stuck on 60 games.
And the players are stuck on how many?
70. And I don't.
All right, Dave, I
think
me and you can do this.
Why can't we get to 65? Tell me.
Let's see here. One wants 60 and the other one wants 70. What would be a nice middle of the road wrap approachment? Smoke it, take a few hits off the old peace pipe, or maybe even some other kind of pipe these days. Why not? 65, you dopes.
I don't understand that. I truly do not. In the meantime, baseball's got all kinds of problems anyway, because both the Blue Jays and the Philadelphia Phillies had to close their spring training facilities today. The Phillies had 5 players and 3 staff members that have tested for the COVID, and there's a bunch of others that are about to get tested that have some sort of symptoms. The Toronto Blue Jays had a pitcher who was on the 40-man roster who has tested positive. The Tampa Bay Lightning closed down their training facility. Several players and staffers
Orange County,
have
Florida,
COVID.
Where the bubble will be, where Orlando will be. And Monday, Keith Smith will join us from Orange County, Florida, from Orlando and from Yahoo Sports. And it is a particular hot spot right now. It is. And we want to be positive. We would love to wave a wand in 2020 had never happened. We would love to wave a wand and we go back to our March 10th lives. But we have to be honest. And through this, and I think we have handled it well. I sure have tried. But through this, Dave, it's amazing whenever we talk virus or the disharmony that we've had over the last month, almost a month now, for sure 3.5 weeks, I get a lot from friends of mine, text from them, text on the text line at 67129. talk sports. Then when we kind of go back to our March 10th lives and we go all sports, y'all are ignoring the news of the day. We're trying to do both, and we're trying to do both in a ebullient, sunshiny manner, but always grounded in realism and honesty.
I learned this a long time ago, but let me use a quote from the mayor of the city of Memphis, Jim Strickland, who said it in an interview yesterday that was printed in the newspaper today. When you have an audience as large as ours, or when you are living in a city as large as Memphis, there is no way that you can please everybody. And what we try to do is the most responsible thing for the total picture. And if COVID is the story of the day, we will go there. If it is a sports story, and it is to a certain degree.
If it's race, it would be irresponsible not to.
It is a meshing of it today. This is also interesting. I mentioned the
Tampa Bay. Even in good times, even in our old lives, it's been funny through the years. If we're talking Tigers, you'll get talk SEC. If you're talking SEC, talk NFL. If you're talking NFL, talk Tigers. I mean, a lot of times in over 3 hours, and especially now with the podcast availability, you can go back and hear exactly what you missed earlier or wanted more of.
No doubt. I want to go back to the COVID and sports at the moment because I think this is pertinent. I mentioned Tampa Bay and the Lightning having to close down their facilities. The NHL is in phase 2, and they had several players, that was the wording, and staffers that have been tested positive for the COVID. What is scary is phase 2 means you can only have 6 players on the ice at one time. We're at the beginning stages of bringing people back, and we are getting all of these cases. And Gary Bettman had an interesting comment to make. He said when they really truly get into their bubbles, because I believe they're going to have 2 different cities, he said every player will get tested every night. So that is 25 to 30,000 tests. That's $125 per test, he says. $125 per test, 30,000. He says this will cost the National Hockey League millions to stage these games to end their year and to have a Stanley Cup, and it will be done without people. So this will be a costly finish for the National Hockey League if they really get to that point.
And, Dave, the kind of daunting news around college campuses, if no school, if just Zoom, a financial apocalypse we can't imagine. Never mind athletics.
Mm-hmm. No, that is why I think colleges figure it is critical that they have on-campus classes. There's no financial model that will tell you otherwise. And if we were to go through a whole year where we had to do this again and finish the way they did last year, there will certainly be universities that we know and love dearly that will not survive. And I'm not saying that's the University of Memphis or that's Ole Miss or that is Arkansas or any of those schools, because I don't know. But
somebody loves it,
right? But from where everything I've read, there are schools that will not make it if that is the case
for sure.
And
it is
that worries
very ominous, rough times ahead. And if we could just wish it away, we would have already done that. This hour every day brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. We don't have to wish. We know we can go there. 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Happy Father's Day from everyone to Lexus of Memphis. And don't forget old Dad on Sunday. They're offering the Golden Opportunity June sales event. Great offers on all 2020 models and special lease options. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus, too. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com, 901-362-8833. Happy Father's Day. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
top story of the day.
Well, this is all about COVID. It has really hit the sports world today. We had two major league teams who had to shut down their practice facilities, as did the National Hockey League's Tampa Bay Lightning. In Shelby County, 120 new cases, 1 death. So now we have 7,440 cases, 152 have died, 5,200 have recovered. Yesterday, 1,200 tests with just over a 10% positivity rate. So, again, that went way up compared to other days. The overall rate now 7% with over 103,000 tests taken. In Tennessee, we're approaching 33,000 cases. We've surpassed the 500 death mark, 509. And Mississippi's got 20,000 cases now, and they haven't had a fatality in a couple of days. They stay at 938. Arkansas approaching 14,000 cases, 208 have passed. In the United States, 2 million, almost 300,000 with 121,000 fatalities, 932,000 recovered. And in the world, 8,685,000. We've had 460,000 fatalities, and we've had 4,371,000 recoveries.
My top story of the day, still waiting on baseball. You'll never go broke betting against Manfred. Never. He doesn't work weekends, so don't think you're going to get a deal this weekend. Rob Manfred work weekends? No way. Players Association wanted 70, management wanted 60. Just too hard for them to fall on 65 in between. They've wasted a month. Baseball should have been playing somewhere around May 20th, Memorial Day weekend at the latest. They're not playing, and there's a simple reason. They don't want to.
Not top story of the day.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. So it didn't take long for Rob Manfred, the commissioner, who, as you just said, doesn't work weekends. I hope he does this weekend.
Oh, no, Dave.
It didn't take long for Rob Manfred to get back to Tony Clark and basically said, and this is a direct quote from the president of the New York Yankees, the owners don't want to play 70 games. Players don't want to play 60 games. If we can't get to something in the middle on that, it is just absolutely ridiculous. Is there not give and take with the playoff money? We've got the universal DH. So many of the things the owners and the players have both really kind of wanted to go to, that's all in there. It can be done by just moving off of a few games. Let's have some common sense. And remember, and I think it was Bob Carpenter who said, for every day you wait, you got to add 4 weeks, right? So here we are. If you wanted to get this thing going on July 19th, you pretty much have to get this thing done now.
Yep.
And you know, they keep going back to, and this is Rob Manfred, he keeps going back to Dr. Fauci, and he keeps saying something to the effect that you don't want to be playing past September because there's going to be a second wave.
Well, that's true. That is one of the legitimate reasons. But also the owners don't want to be out there playing much past that because the playoff networks really don't want them to be playing after that because they want to get to football.
That's exactly right. The NFL is a bigger,
Dave,
I think, this is a bigger reason they don't want to say.
Help me, Dave, because you were good in the 70s, even though we did have the Steamboat years. What was Manfred Mann's Earthman's smash hit, big breakout hit?
Blinded by the Light?
Revved up like a
deuce in the middle of the night.
I never forget at the swimming pool, we didn't know if that was what they were saying.
How about me getting that, though? Come on.
Dave,
I couldn't.
You're Mr. 70s.
I could not. I was trying to tell.
You're our Austin Powers.
I was trying to tell my hairstylist, my barber, Al
so
Ruiz.
You have a hairstylist.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean, of course
he's
you
a
do.
technician. He's everything. He's the greatest. Al Ruiz used to do Pastner, used to do Calipari. Love the guy. I was trying to explain to him about my former wireless company, and I was trying to remember. I could not remember the name Schlotsky's, which is the sandwich place forever. Couldn't remember it, and I got blinded by the light. I mean, come on, that's a miracle.
Up like a deuce.
That's a miracle in its own right.
Is it time for me? I'm
yes,
lost.
It is.
It's not top story for me.
Story.
Still no announcement on refunds by Grizzlies or any announcement on the rest of the season plan for the Redbirds. Look, both of them are facing tough tasks, but both have had huge amounts of public monies through the years spent on both with a lot of special treatment through the years, and they are treasures. But it's not a good look to be this unresponsive for this long, and it's bordering on, if no announcement on season ticket money or money for the rest of the year by the Grizzlies and nothing from the Redbirds, I think it's pure D irresponsible.
We know our friend John Goen has a big smile on his face right now. Webb Simpson today is 65. He's got the lead. And Hilton Head in Harbortown, he's 12 under. He's one stroke better than, this is miraculous too. I could remember Blinded by the Light, and Drew actually is guaranteed making money this week because Bryson DeChambeau has made the cut. He is at 11 under after shooting a 64.
Man, he swings
today.
out of his shoes every T-ball, doesn't he?
He does.
He's trying to knock it over the moon.
Well, he's got what he thinks is the physics. He's bulked up. He thinks he can do it.
Breaking news from the Tour. PGA Tour is now confirming Nick Watney withdrew after testing positive for COVID at RBC Heritage.
That is brand new. I have
you.
not seen that story. So there's your first case in 2 weeks, and he withdraws and goes right into quarantine, correct?
And watch the reaction, because they probably had roughly 700 negative tests. Look at the power.
Yeah.
Look at the power of one positive. It's a little bit like takeoff and landings at any airport.
Well,
never making the news on the successful takeoff. You got one, you got the lead story.
I hear you, and that will be what people are going to talk about, at least initially here. How well the tour handles this. He goes straight into quarantine. If he's back in 2 weeks and there's nothing more, then it's really not a story, and the PGA has handled what was the inevitable crisis well.
Is that his sister or cousin that's the great reporter on MLB Network, Heidi Watney?
I don't know. I'm really not sure.
You know the on-air personality I'm talking about on Baseball Network?
I do not.
And she's really good.
Huh.
Nick Watney's a good player. I'd take Nick Watney's life, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's the golfer I would want to be.
Yeah.
I always said it was Billy Andrade, but I'd much rather be Nick Watney than Tiger Woods.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind Tiger's life. No. Of course, he doesn't have any chance at privacy. Would you believe the cut now at this golf course, which has been so tough, is at 4 under? And guess who is sitting right there?
Rory McIlroy. And Justin Rose.
He's 5 under, and you're Justin Rose. He's 5 under today through 14, and just barely making the cut.
They're blitzing it.
They're just killing it.
And they blitzed Colonial last week. That's too tree-line traditional. You really had to aim for where you wanted the ball to be for second shots, and they're just getting up there and whomping it.
It is partially equipment and partially
I went Beverly Hillbillies there with Leo DeRocher.
Yeah.
By the way, Nick Watney is Heidi's cousin.
Heidi's cousin. Thank you,
okay.
Drew.
Thank you. Good catch on that. We are underway, and we got a great show coming your way. In just a little bit, we go to Las Vegas for the Golden Man. Bruce Marshall will join us. Paul Rogers on the Belmont. We love chatting with Paul about the Triple Crown, voice of the Louisville Cardinals, and a long-time horse racing handicapper. Rick Coro on the Business of Sports. Usually he would have been earlier in the week. He was traveling. We got him today. We look forward to that. Andy Schiffman will join us at 5 o'clock, and then at 5:30, the always popular, always tough on us. Heck yeah, hell no. Drew Barrett, where would you rank your questions for today?
I'm not going to say they're 10 out of 10, but I'd say right now I'm at a solid 6.5, 7.
We'll be the judge of that.
We will, Drew. We'll judge this.
I mean, if you want me to bring it up 10 out of 10, I will.
Take it to 11.
Take it
I ain't scared.
to the limit.
I'm telling you.
Who was that?
Take It to the Limit was the Eagles, wasn't
Bingo.
it?
We're 2 for 2.
Hey, Dave,
knowing tunes
our
today.
buddy Pat Smith on the noon show on Jocks in Birmingham,
Yeah.
the three-man front.
Yeah.
Great cast of characters. They do a segment on Fridays during football season, and we may have to have it as our shock this year. Rename our shock pick when we do the First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast.
Yeah.
Instead of a shock, they dub it, I Ain't Scared.
I like that. I ain't scared. And I'm not a your heck yeah, hell no either. Underway, Friday edition of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallow and Stats, and Bruce Marshall is next.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Hey folks, I'm Jarrett Carter. My family recently purchased East Memphis Ace Hardware at Quince and White Station, and we're excited to offer the best selection of Big Green Egg and Traeger grills. And then don't forget about our Benjamin Moore Paint Studio and the Garden Center for flowers. Save 60% with our new Duracell key fob replacement program. We have a master locksmith service as well as glass cutting and screen repair. East Memphis Ace Hardware, located at Quince and White Station behind Three Little Pigs.
The first ripe tomato from your backyard garden. A little mayo, lettuce, bacon, 2 slices of bread. Yum! Lowe's knows it's special because you'll watch that tomato grow with anticipation. You'll shoo squirrels away and maybe even have a few heart-to-hearts with it. The tomato won't tell your secrets, but we'll let you in on one. You can take home Bonnie veggie and herb plants 3 for $10 and Scott's mulch for $2 a bag. Valid through 6/24 in store only. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. U.S. only. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Enjoy that BLT. You're welcome from Lowe's.
Though we're apart these days, we're sharing more. And Geico would just like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your dance moves. Thanks for sharing your DIY haircut fails. Now it's Geico's turn to share too, with a Geico Give Back. A 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. And because Geico's committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for info and eligibility.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallow and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Oh, I love our texters. I love our texters.
It completes it for me.
First Bank Test Line, 67129. I've known you how many years now?
Since November of 92.
How many political conversations you think we've had over these years?
Hundreds.
Hundreds. You have never, ever taken the liberal side of a political conversation we have ever had, Mr. Conservative.
Our next,
for our texter to think that, it blows me away.
Our next guest and I often text about things we don't talk about on the air. We talk sports on the air. That's what we're here for. And I think Bruce Marshall would attest that no liberal not. This year in 2020, it's completed. Everything I can be called has been called. Back in February.
Don't say that. There's somebody out there that can say something else.
Back in February, got the accusatory text that I was a child molester.
Oh my gosh,
which is great,
yeah.
and laughable, and today almost even more laughable. I don't know.
Well.
67129.
People tend to hear what they want to hear.
I
think that is the proof of that. I really do.
They do, and I understand passion. I understand these times, but I don't understand some of the accusations.
Yeah.
But whatever
crazy.
you want to think, you think it.
Speaking of passion, the folks at Family Leisure, and we're in the Family Leisure Studios. They have plenty of passion, and their passion right now is to make sure your backyard is your vacation place this summer. I call it the staycation headquarters. I really do. They're making it so simple with contactless purchasing. You know what? You call, get a reservation. They'll meet you outside when it's the appropriate time, and they really do the social distancing. They'll bring you inside. You can, with a salesman properly situated, you can go around the whole store, figure out what you want. They'll give you a catalog if you don't want to go in. That's real simple, too. And then they will bring out whatever you need curbside, or they'll deliver it to your house. They can't make it any easier than that. And they've priced things so beautifully. Complete pool packages starting at under $1,600, 24-foot pools under $2,000. Same price for that 4-person spa, $1,999. The swim spa started under $10,000. High quality swing sets for the youngsters. They've been discounted all the way from $34.99 down to $21.99. Please be safe. Do it the right way. Make your home a staycation place with family leisure.
Dave, you know what really hurt on the text though when the I think that was more the Twitch exchange, wasn't it, Drew?
Yeah, that was Twitch, and I
thing
had
that
to ban like 4 or 5 people
The
from
thing
it.
that really hurt was the truth about this when he said the old ball guy. No, you just didn't have to go there.
No, he did not.
That would
one
stung,
thing about me.
that's true.
One thing about Bruce Marshall. Even though we're old, we got a lot of hair.
That's right.
Good afternoon, Bruce Marshall.
Hey,
How
Bruce.
are you?
I wish that was true for me, but I'm fine. But I continue to be getting called new things by my wife. She says them mostly in Spanish, so I've lost track of the different things I've been called. So I know from where you were coming.
That's right. That's right, Bruce. This week, I don't think we gained any momentum for restarts, and even now, maybe another round of lockdowns in Sin City and Las Vegas where you live. Do you think this week was a step backwards or forwards for the resumption of sport?
Backwards.
Big
I'm not sure how far, but I think it was to this extent. Stuff that I just heard today, and I think this the stuff with the Phillies and the Blue Jays and closing their things in Florida and Clearwater and Dunedin, which are very close, but a lot of spring training thing. I mean, if that's going to happen with MLB, and the little spikes up here, they've got to be, pro sports has got to be a little bit more sensitive, I think, and just that's just the nature of it because they're so front and center, and they're just not going to want to take any chances at all. I think baseball's got to be more in question. I've always been afraid with college football a little bit more than others. On the positive side, they are playing games overseas again. England has just started. I'm watching Manchester United and Tottenham right now. Germany is about ready to finish up its Bundesliga within the next couple of weeks here. They restarted that over a month ago.
How are
Spain.
they doing it with the per capita, with the per 1 million deaths in population? That we don't touch them. How are they doing it, Bruce? And we're having such a lumbering, sputtering start.
Yeah, there's a variety of reasons. And as far as what they're doing for the games over there, there's nobody in the stands. They've made it so. I mean, it's a virtual game really, and actually, to enhance that on the TV side, this I think is kind of important if the NFL is going to think about doing this in the fall. And I'm sure they've been watching the games in Spain, and I think this Tottenham Man U game, the England games, are doing it too. They can create a virtual crowd in the grandstand, so it looks like you're watching a game and there's fans there and they're pumping crowd noise in. So it's really not much different, at least in Spain thus far, watching a soccer game from before. So I think, if they start doing this in the States as far as the TV end of it, they're going to at least be able to present something that looks something normal. And I think that's the more that's kind of an important thing, I think, for the whole entertainment value whenever they get this stuff going. But to answer your question, though, those countries are a little bit more compact. There's not as many. You can get from one end of Germany to another in Spain, too. And it'd be a longer drive, but, I mean, it's nothing like the United States. And it's a little bit more mobile, and they're so far able to do it. And but keeping fans out of the stadium. No fans have shown up in the stadiums yet in any of those soccer games. They're still doing it all. No fans present.
And are they building in the capability of later in the year of going to 20%, 30%, trying to get spacing socially 6 feet apart? Is there any thought process to that? Or are they willing to, because the television and sponsorship deals are so lucrative, are they willing to give up whatever revenue stream percentage that is?
No, they'd like to get there. but they're not planning on any of this restart to have fans. That's more for the fall. And perhaps by later summer, when they're going to have the Champions League, they're going to supposedly have that as an 8-team tournament when they get down to 8 in Lisbon. They may have some fans present there, but generally they're not thinking until the fall will they let anybody in. So at least this is just from the TV viewing part of it. For the whole revenue models of it, and this goes to baseball too, and that's why baseball is a complicated formula there. When you talk about prorating based upon the schedule for the players, and a lot of people couldn't understand. Well, if they're paying 35% of the games, then you just make that part of the salary. You prorate to that amount. Except the revenues from baseball, I mean, across it varies by team, but it's generally about 50% of it comes from the in-house revenue, and they're not getting any of that if they don't have any fans in the stadium. So that's why the formula is a little bit more complicated and a little bit more treacherous.
You must be listening to Rob Manfred, because most models say they get about 40% of revenue stream from fans and concessions and parking. So whatever it may be, that is a big sticking point, because if you're going to pay a prorated amount, which is your full per game salary, in other words, you take whatever the salary is, you divide it by 162 because that's how many games there are, and you're going to pay that person 1/162nd for every game you play. So if you're going to play 60 games, you're getting paid 60 times that 1/62nd. And if you're getting paid for 70 games, the same thing. So there's a 10-game difference here. Will we be able to find middle ground? That's where Brett and I are sitting going, look, 1/170, 1/160. Why can't you do 65? What's the hard thing about this?
Yeah, they can. I mean, they may not get it exactly on the number. And the thing is the revenue isn't going to stay the same, because whether it's 40% or 50%, and it depends upon the teams too, it's not a full game revenue that they're going to get. No matter, they can find some way. I think in the back of their minds, I mean, the players and the owners both know that the damage they do to their fan base if they do nothing and they don't play, and they could take years to overcome, and their fan base won't forgive them. The fans will be okay if they play a 60-game season. They know what's been going on here, and it will be, as long as they can do it safely, the fan bases will do it. Also, one other thing, we talk about the Phillies and the Blue Jays and all, and even this NBA stuff, the NHL and playing in bubbles and all. I don't know about, I assume it's this way in Memphis too. I mean, it's hardly, even in California where there's a lockdown, it's not like nobody's out. I mean, people are out. They're doing some things. They've been going to stores. It's not like everything is this. You get the feeling when you read about, the NBA and all that, they're going to be locked into Orlando. Orlando, my God, people are out and doing things there. So it's not like these cities are lifeless now. Life is going on as much as it can.
It has not been martial law.
No, it hasn't.
But let's clarify, because I think you bring up an interesting point, and I think that's part of the rationale for some of the NBA players to drag their heels on whether or not they really want to play in Orlando. And at 5 o'clock today, we'll have Andy Schiffman on. And we'll find out what he thinks if this thing is still going to occur. You've got some that think it's a distraction to Black Lives Matter, some that are worried that we're going to be in a place that health-wise they are being put in jeopardy. But some of them just don't want to be in that bubble. And it's my sense, Bruce, that they really will be in a bubble, that they'll be able to roam about their team hotel. They'll be able to go into the Disney restaurants that are a part of their bubble, and it's not like that's chopped liver.
Play golf.
Pretty good stuff. But they will not be able to go to the bar, in Ybor City or that's Tampa. I'm sorry, in wherever the Columbia is. They're not going to be able to go by UCF. They're stuck in that Disney world.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and I don't know. I think there's a lot of things at play here. Some of the Disney stuff, the parks haven't opened. Disney Springs, I think, is open again. There's restaurants there, so if the guys can't go out to Disney Springs,
they can't. They can't go to the park. No.
Yeah, not the park, but the shopping area there where people are back. if they can't go there, they're going to chafe a bit, especially the guys who are bringing their families down. That was one of it. And then you want to keep your family there for 2 months. Not all the teams be playing all the way through, but
no.
There's a lot of different pieces to this puzzle.
Yes, but you can't bring your no families are allowed until the second round of the playoffs when you're down to 8 teams.
Okay, yeah, but even then, you could still that could be several weeks if you're there. You guys know it's tough to take kids anywhere more than a week and put them somewhere. So good luck,
Bruce. I know the NFL's got a reserve fund that could. Yeah. The federal government probably could use a little bit of it. But for Mark Davis in Las Vegas, he a little less affluent than Stan Kroenke in Los Angeles. They need people coming through that turnstile. They need human beings. They need parking. They need concessions. They need ticket buyers. They need that building used. 1 year without the new building in Vegas and 1 year without the new Taj Mahal in Los Angeles. That hurts anybody, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I would think so. I mean, also the people who would be the people, the supporting people who work, not necessarily with the teams, but there's a whole industry involved with surfacing the games and the venues. But yeah, you're right. I've been wondering too, because the Raiders have said I think they've sold like all the tickets for this year already, and all those people have paid the PSLs. And I don't know how this would work. Are they going to have to kick back if they're not letting people in? Do you refund it? Yeah, I don't think they're going to end up refunding anybody. They give a credit if they had to down the road for people that already bought tickets, but it creates a whole bookkeeping thing for them. And I don't know, Brett, I mean, how it would, but you are correct in that, some of these teams are not quite, I mean, it's all relative.
And the interest clock keeps running.
It does. And you're right, Mark Davis is not Stan Kroenke.
No,
so,
not even close.
It is not even close.
I would say Mark Davis would be in the bottom 7 or 8 of affluent NFL owners, wouldn't he?
Yes, maybe even the bottom 3 or 4, because that's their only business. And so he could even be on the bottom. I'm not sure. Again, it's relative.
Well, the Packers would be 32 publicly held, but I would think Mark Davis would be.
Yes.
Well, his whole net worth is tied into
the
Bidwells
that team. Could be down there.
He is tied into whatever the Raiders are worth. That's what he's worth, and
that's right.
And what is that? Now that they're in Vegas and that stadium has been provided, it's $2 billion. I mean, he's doing
remember
okay.
Remember that the Raiders have this. They do have this. There are several minority owners of the Raiders too, so I'm not sure what Mark's percentages, but you're right. I mean,
that always blew my mind. The minority stakes in any of these teams. I wish one of the business publications would dedicate to it. And the first time I became aware of it, Dave, you'll remember it. I go to a Steelers Titans game in Nashville around 2010, somewhere in there. I don't know where. Sometimes. And I came back with a Steelers media guide back when we really used to print those. And like second or third page was headshots of the minority investors in the Pittsburgh Steelers, the minority stakeholders. And one of them was the elder Haslam here in Tennessee. And I asked George and Dave, I said, is that first of all, it shocked me that the Rooneys didn't own it, lock, stock, jocks, helmets, everything in barrel. I said, is that the Haslam that we know in Big Jim of UT fame? And George said, oh yeah, that's him. And I mean, it was 2 pages of, it was probably 40 pictures of minority investors in the Steelers.
Yeah, a lot of these teams are like that. There are plenty of minority shareholder owners there who own little percentages of the team. And the Raiders, remember, Al Davis is, and I think Mark's title is the same thing, managing general partner. So
right, and that was George W.'s title with the Rangers. He only had about 12 to 15%. Tom Hicks and Roland Betts had the majority, but they used George W. as the front man to get the ballot access to the new stadium and get it passed, and then they all reaped windfall profits. He no more owned the Rangers than anybody else that only had about 12 to 15%.
By the way, in Long Gone Summer, there was a program where George Jr. was asked, what was the worst move he ever made? They were referring to his presidency, post-presidency. He said, worst move I ever made was trading Sammy Sosa.
I think WMD topped it, Bruce.
Yeah, I think so. Or when he sold out of the Rangers, maybe that too. I mean, he made a nice penny out of that, but if he'd have kept it, it would have been worth more as well.
We've got the weirdest thing ever in horse racing and the weirdest year
We
ever
need your picks.
in history. And that is a Belmont, which is normally the longest race, not this year. And it is usually the last race. It usually comes 5 weeks to the day of the Kentucky Derby. This time it is the first week of what will be a 15-week adventure. First of the Triple Crown races has 10 horses in it. The favorite is Tiz the Law, overwhelming favorite. There's a horse called Sol Volante that is the second favorite. We had a handicap run yesterday that does not have Sol Volante in the top 4. How do you see this thing on Saturday in New York?
Tiz the Law, probably. Max Player is interesting, though he hasn't raced since February in Aqueduct. Possibility. This race is being run at 1 1/8, which means it might as well be the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct. Now, this is at Belmont, but, I mean, it is not a Belmont. I don't care what they say. It's 1 1/8. It's not 1.5 miles. There's an asterisk forever. There's not going to be anybody at Belmont Park. I question why they're even doing this. They thought it was some sort of a marketing whiz thing. They'll get in before the Kentucky Derby and be in the first. But this is really not the Belmont. It's not 1.5 miles. So it's another version of the Wood Memorial run at Belmont, and that's what it is. And maybe Tiz the Law, because he's a New York bred, and that would be a neat story. We'll do it. But whatever happens to the Triple Crown this year, just in case there is a winner, it's going to have the biggest asterisk in the history of sports racing next to it. Yeah.
All right, you gave us 2. Give us 2 more for the Super.
Oh, for the Super, how about Demling? And no, I was thinking my time. Demling's one of the trainers here. Let's see.
Dr. Post, Pneumatic, Tap It.
Pneumatic, yep. And who else we got here? Dr. Post. Yeah, let's do those 2, sure.
Okay, so you got a 3, 8, 9, 10 Super. Very good.
Jungle. Let's throw Jungle Runner as a possibility. The longest shot on the board in there. 50 to 1. In a weird year like this, maybe the 50 to 1 shot.
I'll put him in there as your 4. So you'll have
we'll just put $2 down on that and see what happens.
3, 7, 8, 10. Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it, Bruce. And we will talk to you next Friday.
And more info from the Gold Sheet.
Yep. Check us out online, goldsheet.com, and some soccer picks at vegasinsider.com.
That is Bruce Marshall. We are back in just a minute to put a wrap on this first hour on this steamy Friday of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallow and Stats.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
For the ones we trust to always be there. For the ones caring for others. For the ones who keep things going, no matter where they are. In extraordinary times, extraordinary people step up. Like the ones standing guard and standing on the front lines. And the ones who are staying apart while still working together. With your efforts, we will get through this. We're grateful for all you do. Visit Grainger.com for resources that can help as you create your recovery plan. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is you getting snacks from the pantry. This is you getting snacks from the DQ 2 for $4 Super Snack Menu.
Wow!
And mixing and matching any 2 snacks, like the new Lemonade Twisty Misty with a chili dog.
Uh-huh!
A cheeseburger with fries.
What?
Or even pretzel sticks with a sundae. The DQ 2 for $4 Super Snack Menu. 2 snacks, $4. Get your on. Look for drive-thru and takeout options at your DQ. DQ, happy tastes good.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Coming up at the top of the hour, our friend, the voice of the Louisville Cardinals, Paul Rogers, is going to join us. I think he's on a little vacay, actually, down on the Florida coast, but he is taking time for us today to give us his sense of what will happen in the Belmont. You heard Bruce Marshall, and that's what makes a horse race so much fun. At first, he had, I don't think, very many of the same horses that Dick Girardi had, our handicapper from yesterday.
No, Dick had he had Tap It to win, and his superfecta the 1, 8, 9, and 10. Bruce the 3, 7, 8, and 10. I picked Farmington Road yesterday, the 5, but my super would be 1, 5, 6, and 8. Throw them in there in a quad box and spin it around and see what you win.
There you go. If we're going to give you the winner, and we're going to give you our trifecta, our superfecta. Is that what you said?
Now, spirit of full disclosure, I'm not betting 1 cent on this, no. so take it for what you want.
Neither am I.
Not a cent.
I'll listen to what Paul has to say.
Drew, were you with us a few years ago when I nailed the Preakness?
I don't. If I was, I don't remember.
Drew, come on.
I'm sure I wasn't around because I don't remember you ever nailing the horse race.
Nailed it, win, play, show, and fourth, and had all the numbers. And that day,
did you bet it?
Had a few shekels on it.
Really?
Yes.
What did it pay?
Man, it was tickets galore. She just kept sliding them through there. It was great.
Wow. You didn't answer my question, though. You did not tell us.
480.
Really?
Yeah.
Darn. That's excellent. That's excellent.
And that was for like $8.
Did you see this story today? Because, I
hadn't been a race since then because I know better.
There's a story today. You remember Donnie Tyndall, right?
Remember Donnie Tyndall well.
Okay. So Donnie Tyndall did a great job at Southern Miss. Because he did such a good job at Southern Miss, he got the job for 1 year at the University of Tennessee. While at the University of Tennessee, they found skullduggery, which he claimed innocence of at Southern Miss pertaining to academic fraud. Now, if he'd done this, obviously, at North Carolina, he would have gotten away with it, but he was doing it in Hattiesburg.
That's shot, but we do that.
He was doing it in Hattiesburg, and do you know what he got? He got a 10-year show cause. 10 years.
Is it about up?
No. That was in – he got fired in 2015. They gave him the 10-year show cause in 2016. And today, after he'd been working in the NBA G League for a couple of different teams, Toronto and I forget the last one. It might have been Oklahoma City. He got a job today at the junior college level. He's the head coach at Chipola JC.
That's a famed junior
Florida.
college.
It is. It's actually a good job. The question is, I guess the NCAA is not over the junior colleges because he would have 6 years left on his show cause, which is that you know what? According to Donnie Tyndall in the interview today, I'd have to read more of it to make a total assessment. But he said they interviewed like 20 people, and only one guy said that had tied him to the academic fraud, and it was a disgruntled employee.
Did they not have Google?
All I can tell you is 10 years is an awful long time. I can understand.
It is, but he's not Dave Bliss now.
No, he's not. And that's why I think 10 years is
I believe
successful.
in punishment, but I believe in forgiveness, too.
Right. But he's back, and he'll be the head coach at Chipola JC.
I mean, you can go in to a parent and go, look, I got off the rails with some things on some academic issues. That's quite different than Dave Bliss.
Well, 10 years, honestly, a show cause of 10 years is basically the electric chair, isn't it?
Dave Bliss has to go in and explain why. I tried to get a player to cover up another player's murder.
No, yeah. Dave Bliss is in a league all his own. He should never work with kids again, in my opinion. There's no stepping back from that.
Donnie Tyndall is the coaching equivalent of Doug Gottlieb's indiscretion that stays with him like he committed homicide.
Well, he did a bad thing, but you're right. He deserves it.
25 years ago.
He's obviously rectified himself, changed himself, got past that, and he was how old when he did it?
20.
Yeah. I think for that, Doug Gottlieb deserves reprieve.
Doug Gottlieb can tweet, "The sun came up this morning," and in his responses is something about the issue at Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that is a lesson. Not that it's right, but some things just stay with you, whether you like it or not, right? Whether it's right or wrong, it stays with you. So if we're trying to impart wisdom, lessons to people, think about that before you do something you know is not right.
But also believe in forgiveness after
I
the punishment phase.
I do. I agree with you on that. And that's an hour in the books. When we come back, we will head to somewhere in Florida where our friend Paul Rogers, the voice of the Louisville Cardinals and a terrific race analyst, he is next.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started, plus 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to prilosecotc.com and sign up today. Zero heartburn is possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
It's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shop's Father's Day sale. For a limited time only, trade in your old clubs and receive a 50% bonus traded towards any tailor-made inline golf clubs. All Nike, Adidas, Puma, and Under Armour apparel is now 25% off. Check out the Bushnell Tour V5 rangefinder, which measures up to 400 yards to the flag. And introducing Bushnell's Wingman, the world's first Bluetooth speaker with audible GPS distances. Edwin Watts Golf Shop's Father's Day sale going on now. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome in on this steamy Friday. It is Juneteenth Day. We've had COVID cases abound in the world of sports. The Toronto Blue Jays and Philadelphia Phillies have closed down spring training facilities. The Tampa Bay Rays have, or I should say Lightning, have closed down their NHL facilities after several players and staffers came up with COVID. wild day. We've had statues of owners of the Minnesota Twins in Calvin Griffith and in the Washington Redskins, George Preston Marshall, all because of racial inequality. They've had their statues moved from ballparks in those respective cities of Minneapolis and Washington, D.C. So it has been you could say a monumental day in a lot of different ways. And it's this weird sports world we are in right now where the Belmont normally is the last race in the Triple Crown. It is the first. Normally it's a mile and a half. It's much shorter this year. There is a field of 10, and we've got a huge favorite that is down in Tis the Law. And we go not to Louisville, as we normally do, somewhere, maybe on a beach in Florida, where it seems to be a hot spot of COVID, by the way, is our friend Paul Rogers. I hope you are social distancing. I hope you are being very careful, my friend.
Indeed, I am, and my wife has been. We just decided to come down to our place in New Smyrna Beach for the month of June, but we're not doing much other than hanging on the beach and cooking in the condominium, not going to restaurants, not doing the things you normally do, but just for a change of scenery. Came down here to relax and kick back a little, and I'm looking at the beach, but right now it's under pouring down rain. So
well, be careful, Paul. and we've said a bunch this week about this year in the Triple Crown world. Last year had the controversy at the Derby. This year, we know the 10 horses that go to the post tomorrow, they're the only 10 on earth that can win the Triple Crown this year.
Yeah, that's right, but it's just so weird. This would normally be the week after the Belmont Stakes, and we finish another Triple Crown, and now here we are just starting a Triple Crown, and there's still a lot of uncertainty. If a horse should perchance win the 3 races, there will always be an asterisk, if not officially, but certainly in the minds of everyone attached to him because of the
and 2 years in a row with asterisks.
Yeah, the change distance of the Belmont to me is a huge factor in this whole thing. And then, changing the order and changing the time between the challenge of the Triple Crown was running those 3 races, among the many challenges, was running those 3 races in only a 5-week span. Now you're going to run them in about a 4-month span. So it's just all over the map, but it's still a Grade 1 race for 3-year-olds and kind of a chance for racing fans to get back into the groove again, watching on TV or wherever, because they won't be at Belmont Park, as we all know.
We had a handicapper on yesterday. Dick Girardi's his name, from Philadelphia and Bet.com, and I asked him, do you think, because this is now going to be 15 weeks and not the 5-week sprint real test for these young horses. Some people think too much of a test to really make it. Do you think we will see some absolute changes because of this when we resume the real schedule, hopefully next year?
No, I don't think so. Regardless of what happens in the series this year, I think it will go back to the way it was because it's such a unique series of races. We've talked about this every year, it seems, and for a while people were thinking it was impossible because of the arbitrary nature of it, the varying distances and the varying time between races. And then all of a sudden you had 2 Triple Crown winners in a very short span there, and Justify and American Pharoah proving that it can be done. So I think regardless what happens this year, hopefully by next year, things will be back to normal and the series will be back in its usual order.
I hope so. I really do. So we've got this great horse, obviously, and Tis the Law has won on this track not long ago, and is, well, it was 3-2 the last I looked at. I don't know if anything has changed on that yet, or that's the early morning wire, and we've only seen 3 winners that were the favorites in the last 15 years at Belmont, but this is all different. Is this horse hands down the best in the lot?
He's a legitimate favorite. There's some others you could take a look at, but he's earned the favorite's role. And actually, over the long term, favorites have been very effective at Belmont, in the Belmont Stakes. I think 44% of the favorites have actually won the Belmont Stakes, which is higher than favorites overall. It's roughly, I think, 30% in all of racing. So favorites have fared well in this race generally, and I think since you don't have that variable of the mile-and-a-half distance at play here, everybody has a better handle on these horses, even though they are still relatively young. But he's only been beaten one time, and that was by less than a length in the Kentucky Jockey Club last fall, which was at Churchill Downs. He's come back and won twice here in the spring, both those races at Gulfstream, but his last race at Belmont Park was a win back in the fall. Got an interesting group of people around him, Barclay Tagg and Sakatoga Stable. That's the group that took Funny Side to the Derby and also the Preakness before being beaten in the Belmont Stakes in, 2003, I think. So it's that group again. So that's interesting to see him. And he's the most proven in terms of quality of competition and what he's accomplished. You always wonder, how far has a horse come along? Tappet to Win, for example, had two awful races at the end of last year, but then has bounced back this year and run very well. And now not against the highest class company, but he's run fast and he's won both of his starts this year. So you look at those races against the tougher competition from last year and say, well, he can't handle this, or do you say no? Now he's gotten himself together and he's improved as a 3-year-old. Those are the kind of questions you always ask.
Well, we were told Tappet to Win it actually was sick last year. That was part of the reason for the tail off.
I had not realized that. But yeah, his last two races were at Keeneland and Churchill Downs in the fall and was well beaten in both those races, and then came back and won both his starts this year.
Paul, it's been challenging, even with two Triple Crown winners in the last few years, for the Triple Crown horse racing business. It has been. It's been moving in that direction for quite some time. And now Belmont going first, and the Kentucky Derby will go last, won't it?
Yep. Second.
Second.
It will be
second
in September, and then the Preakness is going to go in October.
Can this sport withstand it?
Well, it can. I think really in some ways the sport has flourished this year because it is one sport that has continued. Even though fans aren't in the stands, they are able to watch and wager on it. And I know when Churchill opened up, their first Saturday, I forget, it was in mid-May roughly, I forget the exact day, they had their handle was like 3 times what it was last year on the same day, because people were just starving for some thoroughbred racing action. And the racing has actually been pretty good, and in that sense, the sport is doing pretty well. Now, you're always going to be dealing with various issues, the health of the horse and so on. In fact, you've got 3 of if the Derby had been run when it usually normally would have, probably the 3 top contenders on the Derby are now not racing. They went out with various fairly minor, but still various injuries, Charlatan and Nadal and Maxfield. So you're still having a hard time keeping horses healthy, and I think that's going to be the long-term issue people are going to be looking at. That's another reason this Triple Crown is going to be so different from past Triple Crowns, is you're going to have horses who will participate in the Triple Crown races who weren't even around in the spring, and some horses who might have been the main Triple Crown races normally now aren't racing.
Wow, that's the first I had heard of that. So you're saying what could have been the top 3 favorite horses at Churchill Downs in what was it, May 5th, the first Saturday in May,
right,
are not even racing? That's
correct. They've been retired. Or I know, I'm not clear. I know 1 or 2 of them have been retired, and another one just has a mild injury and is not training right now.
Man, what?
So a tough one to handicap.
It's
yeah,
it
is.
It's crazy for the sport. We asked yesterday about Santa Anita and all those horses that basically passed away because the track was not right, I think is what they ended up finding out. Now they've got it fixed, you hope. But you've lost a lot of athletic animals in the last year to racing, just freaky things.
Yeah, and they're still looking at the issue of medications, what to use, how much to use, what to allow on race day, And while I mentioned, those 3 horses that now aren't racing, in terms of the timing, it's really not that unusual. I mean, quite often, some horses who raced in the Derby or parts of the Triple Crown aren't still racing in the fall of that year, and you've got late bloomers who come on the scene in the summer and fall. So it's sort of normal. It's just that now it's changed the series that people pay most attention to, and that's the Triple Crown.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Paul, I know we want to get some basketball talk in with you, but we want you to handicap it. But first I want to ask you, are you making plans for the first Saturday in May next year in Louisville for the Kentucky Derby?
I think things will be squared away by then. And I think they're going to run this year's Derby in September. I'm still not clear how many people are going to be there, if any, but I think they will run it because racing has done a pretty good job of coping with it and still running the races. The big issue for the Derby, obviously, is what kind of crowd can you have. But I'm hoping that by next spring that we'll have a vaccine, and that's the biggest key, as we all know. Once you get the vaccine, then you can return pretty much to normal, one would think. And I think we should have something in place by May of next year.
I sure hope so.
4 years, the fastest to the marketplace in vaccine history.
Well, I know it's.
But this is the Manhattan Project.
Exactly, and they're putting all kinds of time and effort and money into it, and seem to be making progress in that regard. That's from right. What we all hear. So I have hope that by early next year we'll be seeing a vaccine and see things really get going again.
All right, give us your handicap and give us your superfecta, but your win, place, and show, and then the 4th horse.
I'm going with Tis the Law. I just think he's a stick out here. And another one I mentioned would be Tap It to Win. And then a bit of an outsider was my 3rd horse, Max Player. He's only raced 3 times, but his 3rd race was a win in the Withers, a grade 3 race back in February. And with just a field of 10, I'd actually only gone 3 deep. If I were to throw in a 4th, I think it would probably be Modernist. He's a Bill Mott horse who has been either 1st or 3rd in all 5 of his races. Most recently, 3rd in the Louisiana Derby.
I'm trying to see where Modernist is coming out of which hole.
He's number 4, 15 to 1.
15 to 1. Okay.
Yeah.
It is fun to listen because we've had a few people that have given us thoughts on this race, and there's only 10 horses, and I think
it's everywhere.
We've now had 7 or 8 different horses mentioned, so
could be a good ticket in there.
It could really be a good race for that reason.
I hope so.
Well, I think the 1.8 distance is a little bit easier race to handicap than the Belmont usually is because you don't have that huge unknown of the 1.5 and you also don't have that issue of horses who have raced in 1 or 2, the Derby and Preakness joining, and then new horses joining in, and you kind of get this mixed bag of what's the competition like that they've gone against now, who's tired, who's fresh, all that. So you've got some of those sort of variable elements of most years not really playing as big a role in this Belmont Stakes.
I got to ask you this because I've said like 7 different horses have been mentioned. No one has mentioned Sole Volante, if that is the way you pronounce the horse's name.
Well, then there's your winner.
But that horse on the early morning line, that horse is the 2nd favorite, 9-2.
He's done very well this year, and that last race that he won, which is an optional claiming race, if you see it, it's a $100,000 optional claiming race, but it was a race at Gulfstream earlier this month that had 3 top contenders in it. I'm not sure exactly how this came about. It was, while it doesn't look that great, it had the quality of a major stakes race, and he won that race. He's got credentials, no doubt about it. 2nd in the Tampa Bay Derby and won the Sam Davis before that. Never been worse than 3rd. But I always say this every year, you can't pick everybody. I'm surprised nobody has picked him, though, because he is a quality horse.
Paul, if this were a normal summer, one of the teams that would be getting the summertime love from the magazines and prognosticators and predictions for the year, it'd be Scott Satterfield's second version of the Louisville Cardinals. If we have football, Louisville could be a team that makes a lot of noise.
They're showing up in some of the early top 25s, and they were just so good and such a pleasant surprise last year that I think people are assuming they can follow that up, and I think they can. He just did a magnificent job last year, inheriting a bunch of wayward souls and getting them straight mentally and getting them to play hard and play together. They had a really leaky defense, but they scrapped and clawed. And a big key, well, there's two big keys. One is they've got their key offensive weapons back, and they were very good offensively. And while they did have some problems defensively, they have a good number of those guys back. And I don't think you can overstate how important this is. This will be the first time in 5 years that these players have had the same defensive coordinator 2 years in a row. They changed defensive coordinators every year under Petrino. And then, of course, Satterfield came in and brought his staff. Now his staff is still together, so there'll be a lot more familiarity as the guys get ready for the season. So I think they could be the second best team behind Clemson in the conference.
Wow. So Brett just asked you if you'll be on next May at Churchill Downs. I'm going to ask you, will you be this September 5th in a press box doing a football game?
Well, I think I will be in the press box doing a football game. The Derby is the 5th. The football game is Thursday the 3rd. And that's just, that was scheduled way back when. Before we even had COVID, Louisville was going to be, every year you have a number of teams open up on that Thursday of Labor Day weekend. And Louisville was on that. In fact, they were actually thinking of moving it to Wednesday because Thursday of Derby week is a pretty big day at the track. And as you guys may be aware, Churchill Downs and Cardinal Stadium are virtually right next door to each other, and they kind of share parking sometimes. And they're looking to maybe move the football game back to Wednesday to avoid a little bit of that conflict. But at any rate, fortunately for me, my issue is resolved there. I don't have a direct conflict between the two if we do indeed start football on time, which I'm still not convinced we will, but I'm more hopeful of that happening now than I was the last time I talked to you guys.
I guess I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful. As I look realistically, though, and everywhere you look, we're finding cases, and we saw NFL players when they first got called back getting it. We saw Texas players 2 days ago after they'd been back getting more, and a significant number, more tests that are coming. So I just don't really know. I mean, we all want it. We all wish for it. That doesn't mean we can wish COVID-19 away.
I was actually driving today. We went over to visit some friends in another part of the state, so I don't know the details, but I understand a PGA Tour player tested positive today.
Nick Watney did, and I just with Drew's help here, I did a little bit of a quick test. Nick Watney played last week because these guys are affected. He played with John Senden and Eric Van Rooyen. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know who Eric Van Rooyen is.
Well, they'll be checking them out.
Sure they will. And then now today, and I looked to see Luke List played, but he played with Luke List and Vaughn Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke List has made the cut. Now, I don't think Luke List would be allowed to play until he's tested, wouldn't he? Or Vaughn Taylor, for that matter.
And scoreboard operators and caddies and everything that's, with the tracing, everything in his realm. Paul, I hope we have a season, and I hope they move y'all to Wednesday night, because I don't see how in the world we're going to have any of those August 29th games. Y'all very well on Wednesday night would be the first game of the college football season against NC State, and a big game.
Yeah, it would be it would be a spotlight game, certainly. I think a lot of people would be watching that for a number of reasons. A, just to watch a football game, and B, just to kind of get a feel for things. How many people will be in the stands? How will they conduct business? How will the operation work? They could be one of the early test cases to see how to do it.
Have they talked at all about how many they would have in stadium? What capacity? What percentage? And what?
Not specifically, but they've talked generally about somewhere in the neighborhood of a third capacity, which would be maybe in the 20,000 range. And you can seat 20,000 people in a 60,000 stadium and space them out, but you got to get them in, you got to get them out, you got to get them to concession stands, you got to get them to the restrooms.
You got to see how they feel in 2 weeks.
Could you see? Could you see this? I'm just thinking out loud here, and I'm sure athletic directors around the country are thinking about this, where you're not going to be allowed to tailgate, but if you want to come to the game, and Memphis has already said the only people that will be coming will be season ticket holders. I don't believe Tiger Lane will be open, and the way they'll do this, or could do this, would be you would have a time that you are to show up to go into the stadium, and there would be no concessions.
Yeah, to stagger the arrivals and not have the concessions, because you go to golf courses now, and a lot of them don't have the water stands, refreshment stands, and that kind of thing. I don't know how you could have concession stands and keep people apart. To just it would you can have the marking 6 feet apart, but I just think it's going to be hard to do that.
Well, you can bring your own.
Yeah, maybe
you'd be allowed to bring your own food and beverage, and that would have to be a concession that they would give up in order to get you to come and into the ballgame.
That'd be back to the showboats days where you could bring your own.
Well,
and I know how that got.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to do that back then.
No, they didn't mind. They didn't mind on some games.
Another crimp in the revenue too, because now you don't get concession revenue.
Sure. It is. In the case of the University of Memphis, though, I don't believe it would be, because I think it's the city of Memphis that gets the concessions from those games. What about the Yum Center? We've had doctors on this show say, I'm okay with outdoor venues. I'm not sure about a basketball game inside. So that affects, obviously, the Grizzlies as well as the Memphis Tigers. What have you heard about the Yum Center, if anything?
There's been so much concentration now on trying to get football going. I'm sure they've looked into it, but I haven't heard a lot of comments about it. But I'm with you 100% there in terms of indoors versus outdoors. I'm just not comfortable going indoors to restaurants right now. I may sit at a patio table if there's not many other people around.
Aha! That is exactly what Dave Willoshin did today.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have yet to go inside to a restaurant, and I promised my wife that I would not, and
he kept
lived
his
up
promise.
to that. Yeah.
We were outside, very, very distant. Paul, if that's the case, this is a little bit wacky idea for me. I referenced it the other day about the Tigers here in Memphis. All right, if we're going to have limited, and if you went to a smaller stadium, you'd have limited there too. But for like college basketball, the Memphis Tigers, with that very expensive rent contract with the Grizzlies, if you can't have any fans, why wouldn't they just play this season at the El Morone at the gym on campus? If you're not going to have any fans there, and you could get the TV cameras there to make it work enough sufficiently for the TV contractual obligations, and try to take a haircut on that on some big rental agreements, and just turning on lights like at the Yum Center.
Well, now that's an interesting proposition. It makes some sense, although I don't know. As a tenant, let's say, can the University of Louisville say, we're not going to be in the Yum Center this year? They may be obligated. I don't know the specifics of that, but that's a great point.
Well, we have so many contractual loopholes now, and we've all learned the definition of force majeure this year. And I just think if somebody said, look, we're hurting already enough, it's expensive for us to have the staff and everybody there, let's just play it here at Cozy on-campus practice facility, and we can get your TV cameras working.
Yeah, I mean, that's an idea. They play a lot of teams. Louisville played one last year, play one of those preseason scrimmages where it's against another school. It's just a scrimmage, but they played it, in the practice gym, and they all talked about how odd it was to really be playing a serious game, but with no fans there. And of course, that was something we all were looking at hypothetically at conference tournament time, when there was for a while we thought they were going to play the games with no fans. But yeah, if you can't have fans, why waste time, all that time and space and rent money?
I have no idea. I think it's Fluid is the best word that I can use.
Yeah.
It's all going to change from day to day, week to week. I sit here wondering, Memphis is supposed to go to the Bahamas. There's an unbelievable field being played at Atlantis, and I would be shocked if those games come off.
Yeah, that we were there the same year one year, weren't we?
We were.
I love that tournament. I think that's a fabulous tournament.
It is.
And I'm hoping that Louisville goes back there sometime soon. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't really see that being played. Although I guess they could go to the ballroom and play in an empty arena.
I guess. What about Maui? What will happen with that? Are all these
that
things
little
going to be
bandbox
played?
at Maui.
Well, that's clearly going to have to be a
somebody's had to catch something there through the years. Might need to wear a face mask there every year.
That'll be an ESPN program, a studio program. That's not going to be fans in that place. There's no way to socially. You get social distance, you'd probably have 100 people in the gym, maybe.
And then you got the travel. We were actually scheduled to go visit a friend in Montana next month, and I think I could be in Montana and be comfortable, but I can't get to Montana in any comfortable way. I don't want to sit on an airplane for 4 or 5 hours. I don't want to drive and stop in hotels. If you're a basketball team going to Maui and you can't afford a charter, you're going to want to take commercial flights that far.
All that recirculated air? No.
I think most of those teams all take charters now. But in this day and age, when the revenue's not what you think it's going to be and we don't have crowds, who could afford that? You're right. Paul,
right.
We will talk to you
Well,
again.
we have answered no questions today. We have certainly raised a lot of questions.
Sure.
But
we got a lot of questions, Paul.
Welcome to this era. That is the way
Thank you, Paul.
It is. We'll talk to you before the next Triple Crown race. Just so I know, you've got a Tis the Law, Tap It to Win It, Max Player, Modernist, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
That is good. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.
That is Paul Rogers, our title sponsor for this hour of the program's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, and then there's Genesis of Olive Branch. Same building, getting bigger, by the way. Great products, great technology. Those Hyundais, those Genesis cars, they take it up a notch. So good, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every car. That is confidence in your product, and it is. And the great strides in safety, the great strides in performance, those G cars, oh my gosh. I got a G70, fastest car I've ever had. It handles like it's a race car. It is just fun. And I like to say Chris True and all the gang, and they've been together for years and years and years, they always think of ways to make it palpable for you to afford a car. Right now they got 0% financing on a Hyundai or a Genesis for 84 months, 0% for 84 months. And on some select models, you don't have to make a payment for 120 days. Some are 90 days, depending on the deal. You'll find out when you go there. Just talk. They're very transparent with their pricing and with the way they're going to do things. 120 days, that's 4 months. If you are just getting back to work, a little short on cash now, but you know in 4 months you're good, you can have your car today. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We take the time out. When we come back, we will talk the business of sports with our Harvard professor, and from the NBC family of stations, that would be Rick Horrow, and he is next.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hurts. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
For the ones we trust to always be there. For the ones caring for others. For the ones who keep things going, no matter where they are. In extraordinary times, extraordinary people step up, like the ones standing guard and standing on the front lines, and the ones who are staying apart while still working together. With your efforts, we will get through this. We're grateful for all you do. Visit Grainger.com for resources that can help as you create your recovery plan. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Carl on his motorcycle.
Let's ride till we run out of gas.
And this is Carl off his motorcycle.
Balsa wood is very different than teak. People confuse the two.
On his motorcycle.
Hey, check out that view!
Off his motorcycle.
Let's do puzzles in the break room.
On.
Look at all that open road!
Off.
Look how long my fingernails are getting.
You're better on your bike. Progressive helps keep you on it. Get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Oh, my stomach. When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Try new Pepto-Bismol chews. The same fast relief of Pepto-Bismol, now in a delightful chew.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. A lot of Belmont talk today. A lot of COVID talk today with the Blue Jays and the Phils and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now the story, and this, of course, obviously from Hilton Head. Could have been secured, though, in Fort Worth. Nick Watney tests positive for COVID-19, and he has withdrawn from Harbortown. Now, he played last week with a couple of players, John Senden, Eric Van Ruyen. He played with Vaughn Taylor and Luke List yesterday. Luke List, I know, played today. I'm not sure about Vaughn Taylor, but I have no idea what their status would be. I know Nick Watney's is he's got to be in quarantine for 2 weeks. I think that is part of the protocol. Rick Horrow, our business professor from Harvard, from the NBC family of stations, and he lives in Miami, which honestly has become
lives in Palm Beach.
Palm Beach, which I will be near in a couple of weeks. I don't know about Palm Beach, but I know the state of Florida is just crazy. That's where the Blue Jays, that's where the Phillies spring training is. Tampa, obviously, is where the Lightning had their issues. Are you healthy? Are you okay, Dr. Horrow?
Oh, yeah. No, and I appreciate you calling me doctor, which nobody's ever done before, but that's good. And wait till you hear my answers about coronavirus. Then I can definitely sound like a doctor, like everybody else who knows nothing, but still continues to
I
answer
barely
questions,
passed high school biology, and I've been an expert the last 4 months.
Yeah, well, and see, that by the way, that one of the reasons I'm smarter about this stuff is that I went on a field trip. I'm seeing my daughter Father's Day in Washington. I'm seeing my other daughter who's at Harvard in Boston to find out where my tuition money is going because she's a third-year person. And then I'm going up to play a little bit of golf in New Hampshire. And I know you're not supposed to be traveling these days, but, hey, I got my own car, okay? I left Florida. I got a wash in hand sanitizer. Nobody else is getting in my bubble. I'm doing the show on the road. I'm driving to Baltimore right now, playing Caves Valley tomorrow, which is a cool course. And it doesn't get any better than this. So what are you complaining about?
It doesn't get any better than that, Rick. But we're not doctors, but we know not to drink Clorox.
Yeah, well, or what is it? You swallow a flashlight because you want to light up your internal organ?
Yeah.
Is that the way that works too?
Swallow a strobe light. See how that works.
Listen, I got to tell you something. I'm doing a comeback show and book and podcast and all that. When I'm ready, we'll announce it. We'll promote it. And it's in the sports business. But independent of that, I can't wait for someone to write a historical, accurate, just description day by day of how this has been handled. Because I guarantee you it'll be viewed as utter fiction. If a Martian dropped down, nobody would ever believe.
It will be the playback. It will be the playbook for the next pandemic on what not to do. And Rick, you're right. Yeah. And I begged a lot of my young writer friends. I'm too old to do it, but I begged a lot of my young sports writer friends, keep a day-to-day thorough daily journal through all this, the highs and lows, the breaking news of the day, and somebody could write a good sports-related book out of this.
Oh, and they will. And you know, I've got a lot of stuff that I'm doing that will touch this, but I'm going to leave the, die-hard politics to somebody else.
Me too.
Because you too. Because it'll
take care of itself.
It'll suck all the oxygen out of the room, right? I mean, it's just, and then between now and November, I mean, who knows? So I have decided that I'm moving to Guam.
And Rick, on everything that I've always kind of kept it on here on the politics front, I've kept it on the sports because, like most people, unless you're from Chicago like Dave, I only have one vote.
Dave, have you? In order to get more than one vote, do you have to eat a lot of pizza? Is that the way that works?
You just have to remember Richard Daley.
Mayor Daley took care of
Mayor Daley's philosophy.
You have to remember 1960.
That's right.
You have to remember, right? That
it was big.
And
Rick, you'll know this story. The last sibling of President Kennedy passed away yesterday.
Yes.
And her husband, Stephen Smith, he always ran the family's finances, and the money maker that was the slot machine gift that kept on giving was the Trade Mart in Chicago, and his connections there with Mayor Daley in 1960 kind of pushed it over the top.
It got JFK the presidency. There's no doubt about
that.
Well,
you two are historians that speak an entirely different language than the normal Scream the Loudest talk show, I got to tell you.
Oh, we scream loud at each other. It's just during the break, Rick.
Yeah, but there's a little more substance attached to your screaming loud, right?
Yeah.
You're the most. How about this comment? You're going to hang up on me. You're the most intelligent Southerners I know.
Oh,
I take it as a compliment, Rick. I'll take it any way I can get it.
We will. Which we were talking a little bit earlier about, and this is just sort of an educational forum, sort of a whole era here, where it is taking athletics to sort of lead the country into changing culture. When you look at Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, yesterday being the first one to come out and say, hey, look, you can't have the Confederate
Well, you can, but we're not coming there to play
in your state and expect us to come. The NCAA followed suit today. We had 2 statues removed today, one in Minneapolis of Calvin Griffith, one that was removed from Washington, D.C., from
George Preston Marshall.
George Preston
Marshall.
Marshall.
Was a hideous human.
Right. They forced him to integrate the Washington Redskins back in the early 60s. And it's really athletics that is trying
Sports, once again,
to make something change.
That's a very interesting perspective. You know, when you think of all of the positives about athletics, you can see very clearly how it impacts our country from a social perspective, too, when we have no sports of any kind to watch for 13 weeks. And then we come back and we're galvanized by storytelling and sports healing. And then we're told over and over again how important sports is as a social barometer. And you're absolutely right. Now, we'll see what happens with the Redskins. I've gotten a lot of questions over the last few days from a national media about when does Roger Goodell, make somebody sign Colin Kaepernick. A, he's not going to make him do anything. And B, when do they make him change the name of the Redskins? Well, maybe you're closer to making Dan Snyder do it, but maybe he does it on his own now because the pressure is too significant. We'll
Rick,
just have to see.
You know him well. Roger Goodell's father, the famous Senator Charles Goodell, who replaced Robert Kennedy in the United States Senate and stood up against his party and against his president, Richard Nixon, on a lot of Vietnam votes. Did that impact the young Roger Goodell, to your knowledge?
Well, I knew the middle-aged Roger Goodell, and I've known him for 30 years, and it's impacted his way of thinking a lot. Known a lot of people who grew up with him, and listen, he has courage of his convictions, and he's risen through the ranks as somebody who has been admired. And the worst you could say, honestly, about Roger is, and maybe some people have other issues, but his style is dry and he's direct. And I've known him for a long time, but his heart's great. And frankly, the idea of what he did in his basement 2 Fridays ago, everybody picks at it. Is that enough? And who's he gonna talk to? And he promised to talk to the players. And he should have talked to the owners. Well, no, he just spoke his mind at the right time. And, kudos to Roger Goodell on that.
Different commissioner, Rob Manfred, got together with Tony Clark. They ironed out what seemed to be very promising. We had a deal, maybe. It was going to mean 60 games. There was going to be the waiving of any grievances that could be filed. It was going to be $50 million in playoff bonuses that were going to be. Then there was going to be playoff money, television money that was going to be split. And it seems like it just comes down to the number of games. One wants 70, one wants 60. Brett and I have asked this question a couple of times. Why in the world cannot Tony Clark and Rob Manfred get together and say, we're going to play 65 games?
Well, the answer is to a slightly different question. When you go back and forth this many times over this short of a period of time, you're going to get a deal done. I would be flabbergasted if something doesn't happen by the end of the weekend. So, and then the question is, why is it always so public? Why do we have to hear about 60 versus 70 and where we are on every deal? Let's just get it done and lock yourselves in a room and be quiet about it. Well, in today's social media world, it is impossible. Are done intentionally, or people want to leak to prove how much they know. And then, of course, everybody becomes a pundit and an expert. And I was going to blame, baseball for you got to do it quietly. You got to do it in a back room. And you got to have a designated closer. But it's very difficult with media today to get that done. But that doesn't detract from the fact that whether a small number of owners think they're going to be better off shutting it down because they lose less money, there's $1.7 billion out there of TV revenue. And when you think about that, those are dollars that we don't want to waste. Plus, I don't think America would tolerate getting this close on baseball, and yet every other sport either getting it done or not, but for reasons unrelated to economics, related to the bubble and coronavirus and safety and spikes. But if baseball can't get it done because they can't share the billions, I would hate to be on either side's PR team.
Rick, you're right about right now with the social media presence and a lot of people wanting to be the smartest guy or gal in the room or in the building and leak stuff. But historically, baseball has had to air every garment of dirty laundry.
Yeah, I know. And it's a cultural thing, maybe. And football does some of it, but they not as much. Basketball, I don't think, does a lot at all, and I think Adam Silver is a very good negotiator in that context. Gary Bettman was brilliant in creating a plan, by the way, and you've noticed how it skated under the radar, and I do mean that pun intended, because you have a situation where everybody's excited about the NHL coming back, but guess what? We know the Rangers and Blackhawks are in, which is exciting because they both suck, but they're both in, and we don't know when it's going to start. And we don't know where the games are going to be. But we're not supposed to yet because there are health issues. And Gary's done a great job of promoting the idea of returning to action without all the controversy.
Well, to me, I love it that he came up with a plan that he was going to have 24 teams. I did. He was the first to formulate that. But he's never said where. Today, he really – I think hit a stumbling block with the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're in phase 2, which means you can't have more than 6 players on the ice at one time. And the wording was several players and staffers tested positive for COVID, and that's from coming together right now, and they've been together. So that worries me, and he's talking about, and this is an interesting expense I didn't realize, he's saying in order for them to pull this off in the 2 locations, they will have to have 25 to 30,000 tests. They're going to test the players every night at $125 a test. It's going to run into the millions. Wow. I mean, who would have thought you would have that kind of expense? And now you're really going to need it because here in the early stages, they've got problems.
Yeah. Well, listen, if I knew that $125 a night would keep me safe or keep my family safe or keep the sport open, times X number of players, I'll pay it. And if I'm going to spend money on anything in an organization, I'm going to try to spend it on testing. And again, Gary is making the right decision. on things he can control. The problem is we're now continuing to deal with something we have absolutely no control over, which is the spike that's not due to increased testing, but the spike that's due to the lack of Americans taking social distancing seriously.
He is Rick Horrow, our professor, and from the NBC family of stations. What's on your docket for this week?
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, Happy Father's Day. You're going to see your daughter at Harvard. Is that what?
Our daughter at Harvard, daughter at Bethesda, Maryland, plays some golf up in New Hampshire, plays some golf up in Maine.
Wow.
Caves Valley, going to do Winged Foot on the way back.
Really?
Going to find my way back to Florida at the end of next week. I may stay away for a little more time, depending on how long the coronavirus is going. The only issue is my dog, Duke, continues to be mad at me because he's got a sitter there. He doesn't love. She doesn't love him as much as the dog, or I do, and clearly that's the issue. So, you bright Southerners, you have a great Father's Day.
I will say this:
I
may not be the brightest because I'm, now I've been in the South all this time. But
right.
We seem to weave in animals every show. We've had fish that die.
We've been aquatic.
Now we got a lonely dog. We got to figure something out for you.
Rick, what's your favorite 18 at Wingfoot? Which one?
Oh, the one, whatever the one that they play the Open at, whatever the one is called, the one that Colin Montgomery screwed up to, according to Garcia. Yeah, I played with him at a fundraiser, and all he does is keeps talking about what he did to screw up. And fine, I played
middle of the fairway, 147 yards out, and
very well done.
And blew it.
That's my favorite one. That's it. He blew it. You're right. Next week we'll talk about llamas or platypus.
Perfect. Love it.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Happy
travels. All right, you too, man.
Thank you.
Bye. That's pretty good.
Boy, we had a delightful lunch today with our 5 o'clock guest. Our friend Andy Schiffman met us for a socially distant, everything safe, and that's how they're doing it at both commissaries, the new Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar. We were outside on the patio. A lot of people joined us, and everybody, plenty of spacing there. Are the original in Germantown, Memphis-style barbecue, and we had the full day. We had the cheese plate to start off, and then we had the great barbecue. We wrapped it up with a couple of the delicious after the meal, a couple of the desserts. I had the best lemon icebox pie I've ever had anywhere. That was today at the Collierville commissary. Dave and Andy, they dove into the banana pudding. It looked terrific. All of it does. Begin your barbecue feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate. We saw that, the tamales or the barbecue nachos, the smoked chicken wings, all of it, the ribs, the shoulder, get it chopped, pulled, on a sandwich, big sandwich, get it on a plate. Beans, slaw, deviled eggs all come with the deviled eggs on the appetizer plate was terrific. The bread as well, you can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack at the Collierville commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown, 754-5540, online at commissarybarbecue.com. Get it to go, get it for this weekend, get it for Dad on Sunday. And we appreciate you, Walker Taylor, and get well soon. And thank you so much, and have a great Father's Day from your 3 daughters on Sunday. The Germantown commissary and the Collierville commissary done the right way.
Back in a minute. This is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallow and Stats.
It's R&R on Sports.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more. R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
I'm here with Robert Cox, kitchen manager of the Rendezvous Restaurant. Tell us about those great ribs at the Rendezvous.
Rendezvous stands alone in a unique barbecue style, only found in Memphis, Tennessee. We don't smoke our ribs, we char broil them. The guys cooking our ribs have been doing it for 30 years. Mr. Charlie Virgos taught the guys the technique himself, and still to this day, they teach newcomers that come in the door. After our ribs come out the pit, we pre-cut every order, so you easily can tear them apart. We baste our ribs on a plate and sprinkle our season all over them.
So Robert, are ribs what what everyone comes to the Rendezvous for?
The beef brisket is now our second best seller behind the ribs. We also have lamb riblets, half chicken, pork shoulder, chopped chicken, cheese and sausage plate. Nachos are fantastic. We also carry a Greek salad. The list goes on.
Robert, where can we find out more about all of these great options?
Our restaurant menu is online at hogsfly.com, and recently we just added our catering menu online.
Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant, a family-owned restaurant in downtown Memphis, in the alley since 1948.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Are you tired of staring at that dent? At Mako, getting collision repaired is as easy as book, quote, fix. Come to Mako for a collision repair backed by our best price guarantee. Uh-oh? Better get Mako.
Hi, I'm Greg Gaston for Window Genie. Window Genie is a trusted name in window cleaning, but they do so much more. They can take care of your home or business. They clean interior and exterior windows with a streak-free guarantee. They clean gutters, do pressure washing and house washing. They can also clean and seal concrete, brick, and natural stone. Locally owned and operated, insured and bonded. Get your free estimate today and ask for the Sports 56 discount. Call 901-424-4100 and leave the dirty work to Window Genie.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in as we wind our way through our second hour on this Friday. President Donald Trump has conflicted thoughts on the NFL restarting. He tweeted his support of the league's safety precautions today, but reiterated he'd not watch if in 2020 players are allowed to kneel during the national anthem. He tweeted, Tony Fauci has nothing to do with NFL football. They're planning a very safe and controlled opening. However, if they don't stand for our national anthem and our great American flag, I won't be watching.
Well, he won't be watching then because they're going to take a knee at every game, and they're going to be joined by most of the head coaches and most of the owners.
Somebody today, I can't find it at this very moment, but somebody today has said something that I've been saying from the very beginning. Why do you have to bring the players out for the national anthem? Why can't you do the national anthem before the players come out?
And, Dave, the NFL didn't for a long time and then started post 9/11 and started, frankly, when it was tied into a big sponsorship package from the U.S. Army and the U.S. military.
That's right. Well, the bottom line is this. No, in this day and age, it is a for sure. This is, you know how you say never go 100 or go 0?
Never.
When you're talking percentage? It's 100% certain that there are going to be some athletes this year from the NBA, from the NFL, from MLB, everywhere, that are going to do some gesture in regards to protesting what has gone on in this country for the last 4
years. And as I've said, for 4 years, they have every right to do that.
Absolutely.
But I know I'm going to go with 100%.
Why not?
I know when the flag is presented and the first strain of the anthem starts, I'm going to stand and I'm going to have my hand over my heart.
I'm with you. My point is this. If you know 100% there's going to be something that is done there, why bring them out?
To be provocative. Well, I thought you were talking about his tweet. I don't know. In 2 years ago, maybe even in the 17 season, maybe 3 years ago, Dave, no college football team, maybe at some bowl games are they out there, maybe at bowl games, but a regular season game, they're always in the locker room. That's the last, and not many do, the Rockney type win one for the Gipper speeches, but that's the last kind of quiet period when you hear that. That's when the helmets go on, is when it's over and they start heading out to the field. Michigan intentionally went out to take a knee.
Right. All right, well, I mean, if that happens, then there's really nothing that you can do about that.
It's not.
That is the way they're choosing to go about doing it. But my point is, if you structure it like the Tigers do, you're right. The Tigers have all the pageantry. They do the alma mater. They play the anthem like most schools do. And then there's a bunch of rigmarole. The captains come out. And
I'm very moved
team
by
comes
the anthem.
out.
At the Rose Bowl game at the Rose Bowl Stadium a few years ago for OU in Georgia, between the anthem and the presentation of it and then the flyover of the stealth bombers, it was very, very, very moving for me. And they're not protesting that. They're not, but even if they are, they have that right too. I might disagree with it. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to join in that.
No, they have that. Look, they have every right to. I respect that.
Supreme Court says you can burn the flag. I wouldn't.
Right. That it is
never
their
entered my mind to
ability to express their opinion. I'm just saying to you, if we know all of this and it is going to insult people one way or another, we're not denying the anthem be played. We're just saying do it before the athletes come out.
Dave, and a lot of Tiger basketball news schedule-wise that we've been remiss not to get to.
Go ahead. Well,
Tigers will host basketball exhibition games. This is from Jason Munns on October 18th against Lemoyne-Owen. I'm sorry. On October 18th against Lemoyne-Owen, and on Alabama on October 31st or November 1st. Will also host Mississippi Valley State, Arkansas State, Murray State, and Central Arkansas, according to documents obtained by the CA via open records request.
The Alabama game is an exhibition game, right? This year?
Yes.
That is wild. Is that a super secret thing they're just doing now? They are allowed to do it out in the
open?
Well,
it's kind of not so super secret
I
now
guess
with
not, no.
Jason Munns breaking the story.
There you go. This portion of the broadcast brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the tankless. And now, what a good time to get a tankless water heater. You know, that's efficiency right there. For instance, 10-year-old water heaters, when they were new, they were about 65% efficient. Now you take a tankless, 98% efficient all the way through the lifetime. You only spend money on the water as you heat it. It's not heating up a tank. And you're only going to use it when you're turning on the faucet. That's the only time the heater goes on. Saves you money on your gas bill absolutely every month. And by the way, you never have to worry about your tank bursting in your attic and giving you a whole bunch of problems with the leaks. And John's making it simple right now. $79 a month on a tankless, or he'll give you $300 for the old tank water heater. And you're always going to get that Conway service. It's beyond compare. Over 8,000 five-star reviews from Google. Just call 384-3511, 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. We take the time out. When we return, we'll talk basketball with our agent, Andy Schiffman. He is next.
I
Folks, Bob here coming for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. Lots of vehicles to choose from at Sunrise. Trucks, SUVs, late model used cars, and cars under $10,000. Rebates up to $6,500. Interest rates low as 0% and immediate financing available. Come on in, call, or go online to sunrisememphis.com. You can schedule an appointment, select your vehicle, appraise your trade-in, arrange financing, and delivery. We'll deliver right to your doorstep. All cars disinfected and ready to go. Need service or body work? Bring it to Sunrise or go online to schedule an appointment. Sunrise, Covington Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville.
It's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shop's Father's Day sale. For a limited time only, trade in your old clubs and receive a 50% bonus towards inline Callaway or Odyssey Stroke Lab products. All Nike, Adidas, Puma, and Under Armour apparel is now 25% off. Check out the Bushnell Tour V5 rangefinder, which measures up to 400 yards to the flag. And introducing Bushnell's Wingman, the world's first Bluetooth speaker with audible GPS distances. Edwin Watts Golf Shop's Father's Day sale going on now. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Start your day at Sunrise Memphis. Located in Midtown, enjoy delicious biscuit sandwiches and all their menu has to offer with quick and easy to-go and delivery options. Whether it's breakfast, brunch, or lunch, don't distance yourself from great food. For more information on Sunrise Memphis, visit sunrise901.com or call 901-552-3144 to place your order. Stay healthy and eat Sunrise Memphis today. Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour on this Friday afternoon, Andy Schiffman to talk NBA with us and the restart plans by the NBA after I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour, and that's DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road at 5704 Goodman Road. Visit them online and check out all the happy referrals at DeSotoAutoSales.com. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience, laid-back atmosphere, feels like family at DeSoto Auto Sales. Every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts taken. As you walk in, you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere. But they do promise you this. They want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience because they know we're living in a world today that time really matters. Walk in, find the car you want, test drive the car you want, credit approved, paperwork completed, all in about 45 minutes or less in time to do it over your lunch hour immediately after work. At DeSoto Auto Sales down in DeSoto County, very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County to DeSoto Auto Sales for that town and country experience.
You mentioned that the NBA could be back in action, and it could be soon. It could be that we might not have it for various reasons. Safety, one issue. The other is taken away from Black Lives Matters. That's what Kyrie Irving is saying. Some don't want to be in the bubble. We know there are three things that could be working against a restart to the NBA down in Orlando in about 5.5 weeks. Andy Schiffman, our agent, joins us now. Do you still feel like this is going to happen despite all this, let's say, trepidation on three different fronts by players?
I do. Thanks for having me on, as always. And I'm still optimistic despite the little bit of a roller coaster this last week or so amongst a large faction of NBA players. Just to your point, Dave, many players are now speaking up and speaking out about their hesitancy and trepidation about returning to Orlando to play games. I do believe the season will still restart. I also believe there will be players on each team that decide not to go, and the NBA has done a really respectable job of saying that those players will not be reprimanded if they choose not to go. And you have other players who are injured and not even able to play, like a Kyrie Irving, that is still trying to lead the charge of not playing, as you mentioned, for a variety of reasons. And those reasons include, with everything going on in the world, with Black Lives Matter and social justice and just the equality disparity in general in the country. Is this truly the right time to go and play basketball? Other players look at it as absolutely, this is now, it's never been better, the right time to go play basketball. Other reasons include risk of injury. Some players are concerned about getting back out there on the court too soon and have asked the NBA to take out a policy to protect, from an insurance standpoint, those players who are in their quote-unquote contract years, who are looking at entering free agency this summer or eligible for extensions, what have you, and also just the overall concern about the virus. And luckily, all the players I work with, Dave, are very adamant about going to play and understand that they have an out if they do not want to play, if they feel uncomfortable. No one's making them play. And I just think the bigger picture in all this, which I think a lot of players don't truly understand, and I've spent a lot of time over the last week trying to educate my players on, are the financial implications of not playing. Not every player out there makes the Kyrie Irving salary, and a lot of players perhaps might not have been so smart with their money, where this money matters. Whatever reduction they might receive, they need this money in their pocket and for their family and just overall for the future, because you never know what could happen, especially if you're getting older or injury prone. And not only for this year, but for the future season. We talked about it last week. If there's no season restart this summer and how that might affect the upcoming collective bargaining agreement negotiations between the league and the owners will absolutely be very upset and might look to backtrack on future CBA agreement that talks about a 51-49% revenue split between the league and the players. There's a number of negative implications, I'd say, that could come up if there's no restart this season. I just am very worried, on the one hand, that enough players don't truly understand that. But like I said, I still think the large majority understand now's the time to go play, and we got to. I mean, this is what the country needs first and foremost. But I think the NBA has done a great job of this whole bubble environment, making sure everyone's protected. And they just issued this multiple 100-page document that talks about all the safety protocols in Orlando if they do restart, and now all the things the players would have access to. And it looks quite favorable and quite comfortable, in my opinion.
Andy, you're right. It's so very thorough. Hardly, nothing you almost can find left out, omitted, anything up for chance. If, in a doomsday scenario on Wednesday, you had a powerful player or two lead a charge of no ball and the plug is pulled on Orlando, the NBA season for this year over, no champion crown. Andy, you know it from the business side and the reality side, that cracks open a new round of CBA, and those owners will be dug in then, and it will have more of a baseball appearance in the negotiations than it's had with the incense and peppermint so far that we've been able to enjoy with Michelle Roberts and Adam Silver.
Absolutely. I mean, the closer we get to talking about no season due to all this, the thinner the ice becomes, and it's a very fragile relationship for sure. And you see what's going on in baseball, but the latest I've seen that they're talking about trying to find a way to play 60 games or 70 games, but they can't even agree on that. And you're talking about splitting hairs at that point, in my opinion. So if the players still feel uncomfortable going to play with everything the NBA has put into place to protect their safety and their well-being, it's going to be a real tough road in the coming months, talking about free agency, talking about the start of next season into training camp, et cetera. And I don't think we're going to get there. I still am very optimistic we're going to play. But look, you have to be realistic and address the conversations that have been had amongst the players over the last couple of weeks.
And nightmarish for this market if it happened.
Absolutely. I don't even want to talk too much about it. It definitely makes me a little uneasy and anxious. But look, I'm very optimistic we're going to play. And I say that because, like I said, all the players I've spoken with, they're fully behind the league and supporting everything they're trying to do, and they want to go out there and play and save this season and recoup some of their financial losses and just get some momentum going into the fall and training camp and next season, which may not even start until 2021.
Is there a player that is respected by all where if he said, we're not playing, it's just not right, everybody would fall in line? The only guy I could think of, the guy that has been the face of the league for the last 7-8 years, that's LeBron. If LeBron said, you know what, we shouldn't play, would everybody fall in line? Is he the kingpin of this league?
Well, I'll tell you this. I do think more players would fall in line with him as opposed to the players that have fallen in line with Kyrie Irving in all of this. I think, to your point, Dave, I do think the league needs a superstar-level player that is well-respected among players that can speak to the financial implications of all this. Now, as an agent, I've already been doing that. But hearing it from an agent is a lot different sometimes than hearing it from one of your own and a player. And just to your point, I think a lot of the perception is, well, of course LeBron wants to play. He's only getting older. The Lakers have done so well this year, and they have a true chance to win a ring. But I think it would definitely behoove the league and the players to hear from a guy like that and saying, look, I don't care how much you're making across the board. This impacts us all. And it's not about a chance to win a championship. And the problem is some of these teams who are on the low end of the standings in the playoff race that might have a little more credibility when it comes to that side of the conversation because they're not in a position necessarily to win a ring, and they can probably speak more to the financial implications because that's what matters more to those players. You just don't have that superstar level talent that is that well respected by the league on those teams. And so, to your point, it would absolutely be a huge benefit if LeBron stepped up and said that. He's definitely come out and said, I'm not in support of Kyrie. I'm not following that. I'm going to plan on playing. But it seems like that's really all he's said at this point.
Well, I wonder if the reason he hasn't said any more is, let's face it, LeBron's legacy is pretty well set. There's only one thing. He doesn't have the amount of rings that Michael Jordan had. He doesn't have the amount of rings that any of those great Boston Celtics teams from prehistoric times, the Bill Russell years, none of those. He doesn't have as many as Kobe had either. So he wants rings, and maybe he's thinking it's just too self-interest if I come out too strong because everybody's going to go, I've only got 1 or 2 or 3 more times that I may have a chance because I got a good team where I could still add to my ring collection, and so it's pretty obvious. I mean, I don't know why, because if you look at him, he has been pretty vocal on social injustice. He's done all these television shows that bring up a lot of important matters, and he's been surprisingly low-key during all of this.
No, exactly. And I agree with you. I think a lot of it, if he came out and said that, the quote-unquote backlash that would come of it to say, well, of course, you're on a playoff, you're on a Western Conference Finals bound potentially team that could compete for a championship. You want to establish yourself as the greatest player of all time. You don't want to miss out on the season to try and win a championship here when you're only getting older. And the Lakers were 49-14 with the best record in the Western Conference at the time the league was suspended. And you just don't really have anyone that has the voice of the players, but at the same time has a lot of, I guess, personal investment in this in terms of a ring. And so it can kind of cut both ways to your point, but I definitely think it would do more good than harm if he were to come out and speak up. If we do get to that point next week, let's say, where the league says, you know what, there's just too many players who have stepped up to voice their concern about going back, and we just don't have the numbers we need. The other end of this, too, is if the majority of superstars that were invited to Orlando and part of these 22 teams that are playing in the bubble do play, and you do have a number of players on teams that may not feel comfortable playing for whatever reason they give, teams are now eligible to sign players starting next week up to July 1st for their 15-man roster. And then even after that, once they're in Orlando, they can then add additional replacement players. So it's not just like, hey, we only can field a team of 9 or 10 guys, so we're out, we can't function, we can't go and compete. There is a mechanism the NBA is giving these teams to go out and sign new players, and it's actually something that I've been heavily involved with teams over the last few days, talking to them on a daily basis, making sure they're aware of the kind of fit those eligibility requirements that we represent and that I work with in case something does come up where there is an opportunity for a new player.
All right. Let's just say we get this done. You've read that 113 pages of protocol?
I have not. I've shared it with all the
not?
players. I have not read all 113 pages. I've read enough of it and shared it with all the players. The teams have shared it with all the players. I'll say I've skimmed through it, but I'm
with
right
you,
now
Andy.
at this point in time, I haven't done a deep dive into every single page of it.
And some of it would be the cure for insomnia.
Exactly. But look, generally speaking, the league has gone above and beyond in terms of making sure, as much as they can make sure, that every player is comfortable and that there will be ample testing and ample precautions and that family members are protected and that, you've seen that the players will now be wearing these Aura rings that will determine if players have COVID within a very short amount of time and detect symptoms, I think, up to 3 days in advance, I saw. I don't know how that works. Must be something out of
Why can't we all get that? I need the
Exactly.
decoder ring.
I think you can. You just got to be able to, open up your bank account quite a bit. The three of us can pool our money together.
Andy, you saw how slow I was to the tab today. I'm not buying that ring.
What do you think, seriously, what does it cost? Because we know the NHL, Gary Bettman said, they're going to test each player every night at a cost of $125 a night per test.
I don't know about the exact cost. I haven't talked to the league in terms of what these rings cost, in terms of the accessibility to the public, and how much each individual test costs. But look, this is obviously a billion-dollar industry, and so the players' health and safety come first, and the league will spare no expense for that.
Man.
And, Andy, for you and your agency, I know y'all can't go inside the bubble, but would y'all rent a house on the immediate exterior of the bubble, so if one of your players had immediate concerns and needs, you would be there in kind of a rapid response team?
We talked about that. I mean, as you said, agents are not allowed in Orlando, understandably so. Family members are not even allowed until, I believe, August 30th down there, once they reach the playoff portion of the restart. So, no, we're going to be watching, in the office in Chicago. And I've talked to a number of GMs. Many GMs have said, I don't need to go down there unless we really make it far into the playoffs and have a chance at winning this thing, because there is a limit on the number of personnel each team can bring. And I believe it's between 34 and 35 from what I've heard from people. And a lot of general managers have said, I don't necessarily add value being down there other than supporting my team. So in my place, I'd rather have us send an extra trainer, an extra massage therapist, an extra physical therapist, someone that truly can add value in the day-to-day happenings of these players as they're playing a lot of games in a very short amount of time, and in some cases back-to-back games, which is kind of crazy to think about considering these players really haven't been able to go out there and play full-on 5-on-5 in 3+ months by the time we get to Orlando, 4 months rather at that point. So there's going to be a huge concern for that, and teams are absolutely stacking as many people as they can to protect against injury and aggravation of pre-existing injuries, things like that, as opposed to just kind of sending their generally full staff who typically might travel with the team to a road game. And agents are no different. We'll all be supporting our players from afar and making sure they have everything they need, but they're in good hands with their NBA trainers, that's for sure.
You make a great point. And we're all familiar with the term on the need to know basis. And I said the other day with Dave about college sports and broadcast teams, it's really going to be who really matters, and that by and large is the play-by-play guy, the analyst, and the engineer. Might be some play-by-play guys learning how to engineer this year, Dave. Get ready with your needle-nose pliers there. And for me, and I would be very sad. I would be crushed if I couldn't. But pre and post game could very well be lost to more primary medical people having to be on that charter flight.
Absolutely, and I honestly would not be shocked if the league somehow has people broadcasting these games remotely from an outside location just to continue to limit the number of people close to these players, in the gym with these players. I agree. I don't think you're going to see one-on-one interviews where you have media broadcasting people right there next to these players, interviewing them.
And I can miss a year to save sport, to help sport.
I would say this, too. First of all, I don't know that broadcast teams will be traveling with teams.
I don't either. And Dave, with so much
football teams,
and with so much in college sports controlled by Learfield IMG, you very well could have, say, for a Tiger game, playing Louisville or Tulane, and their Learfield IMG. Well, you being that, you do the broadcast back kind of to the Tulane network and vice versa. In the SEC, Tennessee, do it for Florida.
I don't think that's in the plans right now. I think we may have separate. If you look at the details of things, and I don't know if fans really enjoy this, but a charter airplane for football is packed. Charter airplane for basketball.
I'm middle seat guy, being as small as I am.
Exactly. Me too. Charter airplane for basketball, I have my own row.
Yeah.
So that is not an issue. So I could very easily see them basically saying, you know what, you're going to have to make your own travel arrangements to go to football games, which would be fine. And if that means long drives,
that's fine.
We can all live with that. I think you're right. We've seen the model already for the Orlando broadcasts, and we'll talk more about this as time goes on. But it's pretty clear that none of the local broadcasts will be doing the broadcasts from Orlando. They will be doing it from their own stadiums.
And almost no pre-post sidelines, right?
I don't think sidelines.
And you can definitely manage that, right? Like I've seen enough games over NBA TV where you've got broadcasters and anchors right in the studio there, zooming in, talking to a player via Skype or now Zoom with a headset on after the game. And I think you'll see a lot of that.
I think you're right.
Andy,
it can be done that way. It's not as good, but it can be done.
It would be hurtful. I would miss it. I would be sad. But for the larger enterprise of college football and sport itself, if Brett's got to stay home a year, I'll take it. I can take it.
It's a small sacrifice. We all got to do our part.
That's right.
We need sports back. So whatever we can all do collectively.
We did have and I don't know if you've read this part of the protocol. I really have not. I glanced through it. It's 113 pages. You know, the glossary of things is over 3 pages long. I've never seen a table of contents that big. But what exactly will their parameters of the bubble be in Orlando? I know they can't go to the theme park.
Right.
But can they go to a golf course? Are they limited to their hotel and the gym? Can they go to a restaurant in another Disney property, or does it have to be in their hotel? How will all that work for these guys?
Well, the snippets I've read, Dave, is I don't believe they can actually leave the property. Let's say they want to go golf. If it's on the property, that's a different scenario. I did read, I think, you cannot go to another player's room, but you can, after a certain point, probably after a quarantine, you can go fraternize with other players on other teams. For example, two of our clients are brothers, Michael Porter Jr. for the Denver Nuggets, who will be in Orlando, and Jonte Porter with the Grizzlies, who will be in Orlando, even though he's not playing. And it's funny because just the other day, he was talking about if he'd even be able to go see Michael and hang out with him down there. And so there's definitely not completely cutting off players' interaction amongst other players or generally from the outside world in Orlando, but they're definitely very strict, as you saw in this manual they sent out, in terms of who can have access to which players at what point in time and where you can go on the property, how you can interact with these players. We've already seen scenarios come out talking about, or addressing rather, what the staff members' rules and guidelines are and how they cannot enter the hotel room, even if they're cleaning up a room. If a player is in there, they have to stay 6 feet away from each player each time and wear masks and gloves. So they've definitely addressed it. I don't think it will be completely a true isolation setup like a lot of players probably think. And as I continue to read through this, it's something I'm going to continue to educate our players on. And the other thing is, which they addressed, the amenities these players have in terms of, I saw like a DJ and games and video games and stuff for your family when they come, movie theater, everything will be, they're not going to be losing their minds sitting in their room when they're not playing basketball, staring at a TV, sitting in their hotel room all day, every day. There will be opportunities to go enjoy yourself. In terms of leaving the bubble, I don't think that will be permitted, though.
Going to be different. Going to be crazy. And we'll have to wait and see exactly if everybody shows. There's a deadline, right? You've got to know by next Wednesday. That's either it's either on or it's off.
Yep, correct. Wednesday the 24th. And let me backtrack as I'm talking here. I do remember one thing. They said, actually, you are allowed, if you're a player, to leave the property. However, if you do leave the property, you'll have to be quarantined for at least 10 days, and you'll have to do the deep nasal coronavirus testing if you do come back. The testing that the league has already have in place for these players every night is not that deep nasal test. It's just quick and easy. So it will be uncomfortable, but not impossible to leave and come back to the bubble. You just have to be aware of the risks and the consequences if you do.
He is our agent. He is Andy Fishman. Schiffman.
Thank you, Andy.
Not Fishman. Fishman was my college roommate.
I apologize. My mind is off on another planet here.
At good old IU.
We know this.
Exactly.
You are in Memphis. I know you've been staying with your folks, and you are going back to Chicago next week. We wish you safe travels. We'll talk to you from the Windy City next Friday
afternoon. Thank you, Andy.
Sounds good, guys. Talk to you then.
Thank you. We appreciate it. This portion of the show is brought to you by Edwin Watts. Okay. Where would my favorite place be to go for Father's Day? Where would I want to gift from?
Just run through Edwin Watts and spin.
You know I love Father's Day because this is when I get my deals, and I'm trying to tell my kids 25% off on all Nikes, Adidas, and Under Armour apparel. And that's the kind where it's hot like today. The sweat just sort of rolls right off of you. You don't have to worry. Strixon golf balls. I have not seen a deal like this. You buy one, you get one free. You buy a dozen, you get the second dozen free. Buy 6 dozen, you get 12
That's enough for you for this weekend.
I hope not. Here's the other thing, rangefinders. Every once in a while, we get a great new innovation. We had hybrids. Now we have rangefinders. And those could be GPS. Those could be like the Bushnell.
Coming soon to be legal during course of play in PGA Tours.
It should. It would make it quicker.
It would.
Instead of doing all that
Take the
walking
debate
off, you look at your book, you do your little Bushnell check where the flag is, and you know exactly what's going on. I mean, it would save, seriously, I think that could save up to 30 seconds to a minute per shot. That is a great deal. They've got those on sale for Father's Day, and here's the best thing. This is what I tell everybody. Gift cards. That way I can go pick out what the heck I really want. Gift cards available for Father's Day. You know where it is, Edwin Watts Golf. You'll know somebody in there, I promise. Go. That's where golf, well, it just rules the day. It's all about golf. It's the golf store of Memphis. It is Edwin Watts in that shopping area right by I-240 and Poplar. We take a timeout. When we come back, Drew is ready. He is set. Heck yes. Hell no. It's next.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Hello, this is your apartment. I need some favors from you. Your cat keeps rubbing against the kitchen island, and I can't return the favor. Can you give her extra pets for me? After that, could you bundle your renters and car insurance with Geico? We could save money, and it's easy to do online. And one last thing. Could you leave the TV on during the day? I need to catch up on my soaps.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Anyone who builds, remodels, or repairs for a living, we know the way you work has changed. That's why Lowe's is committing today to build new ways to keep you working tomorrow. We are proud to introduce the new Lowe's for Pros job site, powered by Stream, an augmented video chat tool so you can be there for your customers without actually being there. And the cost to use? Try it free through October 31st at lowesforpros.com/ProLoyalty. Just one of the reasons why Lowe's is the new home for pros. Services subject to Stream terms. Lowe's loyalty membership required. More terms apply.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hey clones, you've heard me talk about Walmart delivery before, but now Walmart has the fastest delivery service yet. Walmart Express Delivery. Get groceries and more delivered from their door to yours with no contact delivery in 2 hours or less. Zero markups. Same low price as in-store. Don't let work, kids, an at-home workout, or whatever else life throws at you right now get in the way of getting what you need when you need it. Try Walmart Express Delivery today. Restrictions and fees do apply.
Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab-stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning to cook out? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of hand-cut fresh steaks, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Father's Day is coming soon, so make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Cruising through our Friday final hour, halfway home. It's brought to you by the Spirit Shop. I know you're on your way home, many of you. You want to be ready for the weekend? The Spirit Shop is the place to go load up. It could be premium wines. It could be beer. It could be gin. It could be vodka. It could be tequila if you want to go crazy this weekend.
Greg and Eli back on remote today, Dave, and I said early in the virus pandemic stages, it will officially be over when we're on remote at the Spirit Shop.
That will really be over. There will be a treatment because when we go in there, you and I, we are
tight.
Inches apart.
I may have 2 Coca-Colas that day.
I'm not sure we're 6 inches, let alone 6 feet apart. that is
It's
the
pretty
truth.
close.
And
It's pretty
look,
snuggly.
Eddie Connor and his family, they know that. That's why
They do?
it's still curbside. They will bring out your favorite spirit to you right there at Poplar and St. Nick. You know, that little log cabin. It's right there at 4848 Poplar, just straight down the street from Clark Tower. They've been around since 1969.
When we do a remote there, it's proof we really like each other.
We do. And we like Eddie Connor. And we love the bargains that he has. We love the premium spirits that he has. He's got it all, just waiting for you to pick up. And, again, a great way to do it is to call ahead.
He's got the football flags flying already.
He does. Call ahead, give your credit card number, and they'll just bring it right out to you to ask you to show a little proof that you're you. And then, voila, you open up your trunk or your back seat, and they'll put it in there for you. They're all wearing masks when they bring it, safe as could be. They make it so easy for you to stock up for the weekend at the Spirit Shop. We all look forward to this every week or two when Drew puts on his thinking cap, and then he asks us the tough ones on Heck Yeah, Hell No.
Heck yeah! Hell no! All right, y'all ready for question number 1?
We are.
I think.
All right. With Reggie Bush being
The answer
allowed...
is 0. That's how much money you made last week in the PGA Tour
That's
Pick'em.
a shot, Drew.
I couldn't.
I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say, but I'm so upset.
I could not help myself.
I'm going to win over $1 million this week.
I think
Bryson
you will.
DeChambeau is going to win this tournament.
He could.
Beefcake
He very
Chambo.
well could.
So I will be in first place when
Unless-
we sit here on Monday.
Unless he pulls a muscle now that he's that big.
Nah, he'll be fine. All right.
Reggie Bush.
Question number 1. With Reggie Bush being allowed back at USC this week, I think we can all agree that Reggie Bush was a great college running back. But my question is, was D'Angelo Williams a better NFL running back than Reggie Bush?
Heck yes.
Heck yes. He was, and he wasn't that far behind in college. It just was not the notoriety of playing at SC that D'Angelo Williams had. But you look what he did to the record book here, and
You can look at the NCAA record.
Sure.
book. Brett, he still holds, to the best of my knowledge, the record for the most all-purpose yards in the history of college football.
that's my point. He may have been better in college. You know, I really thought where you were going with he's welcome back. What should the Tigers do with banners? And I was getting ready to say, hang them up and see what the NCAA does to you.
Well, he's legal to put up.
I know he is, but I'm talking about they're welcoming back Reggie Bush and everything's forgiven.
Oh.
When do the Tigers get forgiven for 08?
When do we get 38 wins back from
Yeah.
08? And when can we put up a banner for CDR and Antonio Anderson?
And how would they treat it if you just said, here you go rogue, put them up? Where are
Well, I think we've seen how they feel about going rogue. You get the AARP or whatever the heck that organization is.
AIRP.
Yeah, close enough.
There you go. Yeah, I know, and I think he is the number 1 Carolina running back. Is he not?
I just got knocked off all-time leading rusher by
his teammate?
By Jonathan Stewart. Yeah.
And those two shared
and they were great
carries
for each other.
years. They were terrific. It actually, the fact that they both took on such loads, I think increased their
bank accounts.
Their bank accounts because of their longevity. D'Angelo played at least 10 years.
11 years.
11 years.
Reggie also played 11.
And what about Jonathan Stewart? He must have played 11 or 12.
I'm not sure. Let me.
D'Angelo Williams was a great pro.
The point is, he's the number 2 running back all time in the history of one of the NFL franchises. He's the number 1 running back as far as all-purpose yardage goes in the history of college football. He's great at both, but I think he was slightly better as an NFL player than Reggie.
Yeah.
Jonathan Stewart also played 11 years.
Look at that. And they played a collective 22 years because they split up snaps. I think that is just so easy to see. Next.
All right, next question. Andy Shifton alluded to it that we've got a deadline next week, so I'll go ahead and ask you, will the NBA start July 31st?
Heck yes.
Hell no.
We have differed again. Are we putting?
Hell no.
What are we putting on? We'll say steak and
one
Coke.
One of us will be right. One of us will be wrong.
Whiskey, and then depending on the way it goes out, it'll
I
be
want to
Coke.
see through Wednesday of this week and who announces, and there's going to be a lot of reasons. Some fearful of the virus, understood. Some not wanting to take away from Black Lives Matter's the cause, understood. Some just not wanting to be sequestered, even with the magic decoder Maxwell Smart Ring, understood. But the avalanche, if one or two or three big names said, we're not playing, everything's scuttled.
Here's why I think, heck yes. It's because the guy, LeBron James, is going to play. And I think the vast majority of the players, not every one of them, there will be a star or two who will not show. But I'm saying to you, the vast majority, including the main one on the main team, will go. And I've heard Giannis on the other side, the Eastern side, he wants to play. Those are the two critical players in the game
Pretty
today,
critical.
and they want to go, and that's why they will go.
I looked it up. Carolina Panthers all-time leading rushers: 1, Jonathan Stewart; 2, D'Angelo Williams, only about 500 yards behind Jonathan Stewart. Number 3, Carolina Panther all-time leading rusher, Cam Newton.
Wow. I never would have guessed that, but it makes sense.
It does.
How many years did he play in Carolina?
8 or 9.
Yeah, he played a long time. Wow.
Next one.
All right, next question. With the way that the trend, especially at interviewing coaches and players, has been going, in November, will coaches be asked who they voted for and ultimately have to give an answer?
In what are we
Who they voted for in an election?
In the presidential
yes.
election?
Will coaches be asked who they voted for in the 2020 presidential election and ultimately have to answer the question?
Hell no.
Heck yes, they will. They're going to have to show who they were for and why. For that locker room, for those players, for recruiting, they are going to be asked it, and they better be prepared with an answer and better be sincere.
I would say hell no, and if anybody asks, I would go, my vote is my business, my privilege, my honor, and it's confidential. It's everywhere confidential. It's clear that that's a part of the process, and it's none of your business. My team wants one-on-one asks me how I feel about an issue. I'm very happy to tell them, but politics is not a part of my relationship with the media and you, and it's none of your business.
But if you answer it that way, both sides are going to think that you voted against them and are going to hate you
Dave,
for it.
I think
because you're going to get it asked.
I think they're going to have to answer it, and now you're going to have – also, you can do the reverse, can't you? You can ask the media guy how he voted, can't you?
Sure can. I just don't believe it's going to come up.
I mean, they love to vomit every feeling they have out there on the Twitter machine. The bluer the check mark, the more vomit you get. So you get to ask them, don't you?
Well, I think some of them will have already let you know who they voted for, so that really won't matter, and that's part of their job. It's not the job of the coach.
How do they know there won't be some blowback for them?
To say, well, there could be. There absolutely could be, because there is a percentage of people on every side of every issue.
That's
we
right.
know that for a fact.
And I know what all the polls say, but also know last time it was basically a 50-50 election, and once again the popular vote was not to the winner. It was the Electoral College. I don't know if it'll be that close again, but we are in close competitive election times.
I don't think it'll be that close again.
But you didn't think it'd be that close last time either.
I did not. But and I didn't think the person that won would win. But I also I don't think it will be really one-sided either way. So there's no winning or losing if you answer that question. And frankly, it's none of anybody's business. Next.
All right, next one. I thought since we're kind of up against time, I thought I'd end on a little bit of a lighter note. With Father's Day being this weekend, what is one of your favorite sports memories you have with dear old dad? Just off the top of your head.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's good. One, a lot, but family lore. 74, AutoZone Liberty Bowl. My dad, it was on a Monday, December 16th, 1974, And that was the last day of school before the Christmas holiday and the big Christmas holiday play, pageant, whatever you want to call it. And I had one line in the play, Dave. I was holding a palm leaf, and my one line was, "Hark!" And I had begged my dad, please don't make me be in the stupid play. I would rather go to the Liberty Bowl Monday night. Don't make me. You're going to be in the play. So anyway, I come home from school that afternoon.
For one line?
Hark. And
one word.
And I come home from school that night. I'm going, oh, Lord, we got to go back to that stupid play tonight. He goes, you don't want to be in that play, do you? I said, no, sir. He goes, would you rather go to the Liberty Bowl with your mother and your grandmother? I said, yeah. And we went to the Tennessee-Maryland AutoZone Liberty Bowl 7-3 Big Orange.
So you're telling me you did all that work to memorize that one line, and you never got
and
to say it?
And a thespian career may have been blunted from it.
I think you chose the right direction.
Yours?
When I was a kid, we used to have family picnics, and we would do it a lot on Father's Day. And my dad was a hiker, and Chicago's got great forest preserves. It's got a great lakefront and parks. And it's really got a good whole park system. But sort of away from the lake where there's all the parks, there's forest preserves with a lot of beautiful hikes and golf courses and things of that nature that are public. And so he always used to organize for all the kids hikes. And we always used to take hikes on those picnics. And just going with him on those hikes, that was always a lot of fun. And that was a bunch of Father's Days.
Drew, yours?
First one that came to memory. So this was when, I think 2004, when we were or 5, when the University of Memphis was in the Motor City Bowl, which was the day after Christmas.
Yep.
Now, my mother's family is from Northeast Kentucky, right there, Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio. And I begged my dad that after we were spending Christmas up with my mother's family, and after Christmas, if we could please go up to Detroit because we're already so close. And he said, no, we're going up there to see your family, and that's it. We're going to come back the next day. And Christmas morning, underneath the Christmas tree were Motor City Bowl tickets.
That's great.
And we had a great time. Drove up the next morning up to the Motor City Bowl.
But that's still a little hike. That's not that close.
It's a lot closer than Memphis to Detroit.
That's right.
That is a good story.
Great job, Drew. Great job. This weekend being Father's Day. Look, everybody, we're ready for summer road trips, to go on trips like we just described. If you go down to Olive Branch and you're looking at all the hot new All-Star Chevy trucks, you got more new Silverados at All-Star than you'll find anywhere. A lot less, too. Some still have zero interest for 84 months with GM financing, or thousands in cash back for the summertime. If it's a new Chevy you want, Olive Branch is where you have to be. Come drive one of the new All-Star Blazers or Suburbans. Talk about a road trip. Finance with GM, and you could be payment-free all summer. All-Star certified pre-owned Chevy collection is huge. All the Tahoes, Malibus, Impalas, Suburbans, everything you can imagine wanting. Remember, it's not the Pike, not South Haven, not Mount Moriah, not Collierville. It's Olive Branch. Everyone at All-Star. One job. Make sure you get the best deal, have more fun, and do it in record time. Find new roads and enjoy your Father's Day weekend. Find new roads to Kraft Goodman Road in Olive Branch, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
We take our final timeout. When we come back, it's crunch time.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 Middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Napa know-how.
Father's Day knickknacks. That funny mug, ironic tie, or worse, IOU coupon books. It's time to get yourself something you want, Dad, like a Craftsman half-inch corded impact wrench for $99.99. It's the perfect gift to give to yourself. And while you're here, don't forget to shop all our great deals on Craftsman tools. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer ends 6/30/20.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
It's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shop's Father's Day sale. For a limited time only, trade in your old clubs and receive a 50% bonus trade-in towards any participating Cobra inline golf clubs. All Nike, Adidas, Puma, and Under Armour apparel is now 25% off. Check out the Bushnell Tour V5 rangefinder, which measures up to 400 yards to the flag. And introducing Bushnell's Wingman, the world's first Bluetooth speaker with audible GPS distances. Edwin Watts Golf Shop's Father's Day sale going on now. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Hi, it's The Herd. We're all faced with new challenges these days. If you need legal help for yours, trust LegalZoom. You want to set up a will, maybe a living trust? How about starting a business as a DBA or an LLC? LegalZoom can help there too. You can start online. Their network of attorneys can provide advice when you need it. And since LegalZoom is not a law firm, you don't get charged by the hour. Visit LegalZoom.com for more information. Their site has it all. Trust LegalZoom.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Waldo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Final segment of the week brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Olive Branch, Genesis of Olive Branch. Always trying to make it enticing for you to do business with them. I think they're the standard of the way car business should be done. And when I say enticements, how about this motivation? 0% financing for 84 months on a Hyundai. A 0% financing for 84 months on a Genesis car, the luxury G car. And here's another little caveat, 120 days to make your first payment on some select Hyundais and Genesis cars. 120 days, that's 4 months. They understand pandemic, unemployment, back to work. You'll have the money in 4 months. Get your car now and enjoy. And no, these cars are so sophisticated with so much technology, so much safety, so much performance, and so much durability. Every new car on the lot at Homer Skelton Hyundai gets a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Go see the guys that have been together for years. What a team. I'm serious. They've been together 8-10 years. Go see the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78. It's crunch time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Dave reiterated today, I knew this, but I wanted to remind people, the state of Mississippi flag has not flown over the campus at Ole Miss since 2015. I think it's been a disassociation for at least that time at State. I don't know about Southern Miss and other colleges in the state of Mississippi, but I know at Ole Miss it hadn't flown since 2015. It's as good as gone. Governor Tate Reeves, his decision will end it, and it will be ended soon.
We also learned today the Tigers have added to their 2021 basketball schedule. They will play Lemoyne-Owen, an exhibition game on October the 18th. You're going to play Alabama, an exhibition game on the 31st. That is a pending approval. They're going to play Mississippi Valley State on November 10th, Arkansas State on November 14th, Murray State on November 21st, Central Arkansas on the 27th to go along with the battle for Atlantis, Ole Miss, Georgia, and Tennessee. Wow.
You know who the coach at Central Arkansas is now? Anthony Boone. It played at Ole Miss.
That's right.
He's the new coach there. Could have done without the massive Saharan dust storm that's headed our way. Have y'all heard?
No.
Seriously. Supposed to be here by Tuesday? Of course it is. A Saharan dust storm. Come on, 2020, would you lighten up just a smidgeroo, please?
It's another plague.
And now they're recalculating. The Mayans may have had their math wrong, and it all ends this weekend.
Seems like it's begun already.
But you know when it's the dust storm really going to get here? 2 weeks. Everything's in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I could have done without the Nick Watney testing positive for COVID-19. He actually was at the golf course today when they told him. He was standing right next to Brooks Koepka. He played with John Senden and Eric Van Rooyen last week. I guess he got there initially and was okay. And then today he was playing with yesterday played with Vaughn Taylor and Luke List, getting ready to play with them again. They all got tested on the spot. I wonder if they tested Brooks Koepka too.
And I bet some real nerves.
Yeah, he's going to be quarantined for 10 days. We're not sure if it's in Hilton Head or not, but he's off for 10 days. We'll see what else happens, and we'll be watching for that this weekend.
We will. We'll keep a close eye on a lot of things this weekend. Monday at 3, will we have a baseball deal? Harbortown Golf this weekend. It should be a fun weekend with another great leaderboard. Wednesday, it's deadline for NBA players to announce whether they're in or out in Orlando, and maybe some players making that announcement this weekend, and we'll be tracking on 5 Live Dopplers the dust storm.
Are you serious about this dust
Yes,
storm?
I am serious.
It's supposed to
the
come
Google
Tuesday?
machine. Yeah.
Is it just dust? It's just going to be dusty outside or what?
And
dust storm.
It's
coming from the Saharans.
In Memphis, it hits Tuesday.
It's in 2 weeks.
Or in 2 weeks. We got to thank Bruce Marshall, Paul Rogers, Tis the Law, or Tap It to Win. Those are the 2 horses to look for at the Belmont. We got to thank Rick Horo. He was really funny today. Andy Schiffman for his insight on what's going to happen with the NBA down in Orlando on Monday. Ted Butler, David Cobb, Chris Raby, Keith Smith. We'll get the latest on what's going down in Orlando from him. Should be terrific. Happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. Enjoy time with your family. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Gateway Tire and Service Centers has a beautiful new state-of-the-art location at 5275 Summer Avenue. And for the entire month of June, the new location on Summer has a great Father's Day special. Buy 3 tires and get the 4th at no charge. Visit the new Gateway Tire and Service Center with 28 bays for quick service, super safe with curbside service or lounge seating 6 feet apart. Check out gatewaytireservice.com for coupons too. The new Gateway Tire and Service Center, 5275 Summer Avenue. Call Matt for details. 901-683